sila ng pera to buy the equipment and supplies covered by the procurement contracts awarded to them by PSDBM under you. Umamin sila na kailangan nila ng help galing kay Michael Yang para i-guarantee na yung suppliers nila sa China talagang mababayaran nila. So, gusto ko lang i-retrace yung siguro typical steps nyo while you were head of PSDBM, Attorney Lau. Para matulungan nyo akong maintindihan yung decision-making process nyo during that time. So, sabihin natin, gumising kayo isang araw, punta kayo sa office, may nahanap po yung letter of intent from this newly incorporated company sa desk nyo. A company na 625,000 pesos ang capital. Tapos, may kasama pang, say, product sample, yung sulat. By the way, Attorney Lau, anong klaseng shield yung ino-offer ng Pharmalid noon? And could we see a sample?
They offered face mask. They did not offer face shield, I think.
Alright. So, nung buong panahon...
It's Blue Cross that offered the face shield. Okay. I'm Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So, Blue Cross ang face shields at that time. So, face masks. Anong klaseng face masks yung ino-offer ng Pharmalid noon? And could you...
Medical face mask. It's the face mask is standard. We have the medical face mask or the N88. The technical specification is N88.
N88. By any chance, merong ba kayong sample dyan na pwede nyo ipakita sa amin?
No, I'm at home, so
home.
I have my own face mask.
But that's not the one that was being offered by Pharmalid then. So okay.
It's the similar technical specifications.
Mm-hmm.
There's the blue one, the white side, and the middle one, which is the middle one is the most expensive one, which makes it medical grade. We call this the melt blown portion. I just cut it.
Yung N88. N88
yes,
din yung mask ng Attorney Lau.
Yes, kasi marami kasing binibenta ng mask ngayon sa market. May 5-ply, 8-ply, but technically those are not medical grade. What makes it medical grade is not the number of plies when it comes to N88. What makes it medical grade, magaling nito si EMS, is the one who explained it to me. The middle one is what makes it medical grade. This is a non-sewn but melt-blown fabric which has tawag natin yung butas niya is mas maliit sa size ng mga bacteria and viruses. So, hindi sila makakapasok, only the air. So, yun yung medical grade. That's it.
Ang nagturo sa inyo tungkol dyan sa N88 ang EMS, sabi nyo magaling sila. Sana lang yung inaward nila, no? At ninyo, sana pinayagan nyo silang makadeliver ng buong contracted supply
they were able to deliver in full. They were able to deliver in full.
25% lang nyo sila binayaran at contract price. Kasi, di ba?
It's total contract price po. It's the same because there's a clause there which allows us to for the protection of the government, the protection of the supplier when nagrereklamo kayo dun sa, may SRP, dapat hindi lalagpas. Pag bumaba yung SRP, even the price of EMS has to drop in order to protect the interest of the government. It will remain to the advantage of the government. It will also protect EMS because hindi sila ma-put into allegation na, overpriced kayo. So pag bumababa yung SRP, bumababa din yung price nila.
And
tapos,
of SRP,
protect their interest.
Teka, Attorney Lau, speaking nga po of SRP, gaya ng tinukoy ni Sen. Kiko noon, maling basehan yon ng PSDBM for bulk procurement. Kasi nga,
I think
retail price. That's not my main question po dito.
SRP is one of the issues. In fact, CBP issued a resolution on that as part of our basis in monitoring the prices of our when we procure, we base it on the DOH previous procurement, the DTI SRP, and preliminary market scanning. So these are the three outputs that we use.
Mr. Chairman, with the permission of Senator Perez, just for the record, no less than Secretary Duque has already manifested when we asked him about the basis for purchasing these masks that the SRP is purely retail, not wholesale. For the record, they were buying millions. That's not retail, no matter how you look at it.
Ma'am,
And we request
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
Mr.
Lau,
Chair,
are you smirking?
Mm.
Are you
no po.
smirking, Mr. Lau?
I'm smiling, Mr. Chairman.
So
Kasi po,
what's
yung
funny?
insist
What's
natin,
funny? Why is it
um,
funny?
yeah, if I find it humorous, Mr. Chairman,
It is
because
not
yung
humorous when
SRP,
you overprice, Mr. Lao.
yeah,
It is not
no,
humorous when people are dying because of substandard materials, particularly
people are
here
dying,
in the
that's why
US.
we procured it for them.
Yeah, you procured it substandard for them. And then there
There is
are
no such
half a
standard.
billion. How do you
Where
explain,
is
Mr. Lao?
substandard?
How do you explain half a billion pesos worth of testing kits expired under your watch?
It's
It's
not
not
under my
funny.
watch.
This is not
We
funny,
procured
Mr.
it.
Lao. This is not funny, for the record. And I'm done. Thank
Thank
you,
you, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Madam Senator Ferros. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Sen Kiko. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Attorney Lau,
Yes.
so just to continue walking through what might have been a typical decision-making process nung panahon ninyo, no? So, sabihin natin na impress kayo sa sample ng N88 mask na naka-attach sa sulat. Professional ang dating sa inyo. Mukhang well-connected naman sa China, kaya sige na nga, subukan lang. Bigyan na lang natin ng 8 billion pesos na kontrata. Ganun ba yung sequence of events dyan?
No, that is inaccurate and misleading, Mr. Chairman.
Oh,
The letter that they sent is a letter of intent. The offer is 900,000 pieces of face masks on hand. Previous to that, we were able to buy only since March 9 until March 16 only 50,000 pieces of face masks in order to supply the entire workforce of the Philippine government. That is the first time. And the second time that we got the same almost offer is from formally 900,000 face masks on hand. So imagine is very very hard for us to look for the surgical face mask kasi wala nga. May isa nag-offer si New Life, I think only 50,000. The second one is formally and the third one is Philpharma of 100,000. These are very scant offers of the total demand that we need to supply. We need to remember during this time there is a clamor from the Senate and there's a clamor from Congress, and in fact there is a clamor from the medical field that they will stop reporting going to the hospitals if they will not be provided with this important face mask and other PPE items. The burden is
now, you're getting
of
ahead of the story. You're getting ahead of the story po. Bago umabot sa point of desperation ng ating healthcare workers to request government for a timeout, merong ding, in response to that clamor, merong ding track record at offer yung mga Pilipinong manufacturing company, not just of face masks, also of PPEs and other COVID products to provide yung kailangan ng gobyerno. But in the meantime, ito nga si
on the
Pharmally.
record,
Actually,
Mr. Chairman, there was no offer by local manufacturers during that time because they were not yet existing.
Attorney Lau, this is the second na in effect nag-argue tayo sa puntong ito. This first happened last. Philippine manufacturers of PPEs, they had the capacity and they had the offers. Now let's just talk about Pharmally kasi sila yung eventually pinrocura ninyo. They didn't have 900,000 pieces of masks on hand at that time. So, hindi ba misrepresentation yun?
Madam Chairman, kaya nga I asked them to show proof on March 24 when they sent a letter of intent. Show proof because they're the ones who is the only ones who are claiming they have it on hand. And they did show proof March 25.
What was that proof, Attorney Lau?
They brought the items to the office.
Attorney Lau, di ba kayo aware at that time na yung Parmali was undercapitalized and in fact, kinailangan pa din nila ng tulong ni Mr. Yang just to make good on that contract of theirs with PSDBM?
But, Mr. Chairman, one, I am not in privy to that their personal transactions. Second, it is not my mandate in my office to check those things. It has already been answered several times in these previous hearings that those are not part of the requirements. Ang only requirements namin is the OSS, the mayor's permit, and the ITR. And we're buying it under Bayanihan 1. Those are not required by law. And
Mr. Chairman, I see that
are delivered. The items are delivered.
Yes. Yes, excuse me, Risa, I hate to interrupt. But this, Mr. Lau, you know, and I, in the previous hearings, I confronted you with the law which says you have to look at the financial capacity of the supplier. You admitted that you didn't look at the articles of incorporation. So, and the requirement that you check on the financial capacity of the supplier is found in the law. I suggest that we leave it at that, Mr. Senator De Veros, because this, we keep on going around this because Lau thinks he's very smart and keeps on denying the things which he has already mentioned. So we submit, Mr. President, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The chair agrees with the Senate President, the Senate Floor Leader, and I would like to caution Mr. Lau, do not raise your voice against a lady, especially a
I
senator.
apologize, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman,
You asked
it's my biological.
any questions. There is
My
no explanation for that kind of conduct.
I apologize, Mr. Chairman. I really apologize.
You're out of line.
I apologize.
Go ahead, please.
Salamat kayo.
apologize.
Lau. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just additional questions about the PGI RT-PCR test kits. No? During your time as Executive Director of the PSDBM, do you recall, Attorney Lau, having procured BGI RT-PCR test kits at saka din MGI cDNA RNA extraction kits from Parmali?
I can recall several items that we procured. I think we have the A-Star Fortitude. I'm not aware of the MGI. I'm aware of the BGI. I'm aware of Censure. I'm aware of Gene Expert. Several other small volume of other brands. BGI, I have to check. I'm not aware. I think BGI MGI is the same.
Yes. What's up? Now, ultimately, galing sa parehong manufacturer yan. Kasi ang MGI, subsidiary ng BGI or yung Basic Genomics Institute. So, kaninong decision din po mag-procure ng BGI at ng MGI kits through Parmali? Sa inyo rin bang decision?
No, the decision is based either on the offers provided to us or if they have this exclusive distribution agreement. Sometimes, I think I also have a letter addressed to PGI in the course of the transaction kasi pinadala sa amin ng DOH yan. Hindi kasi namin alam where to source it. People just come to us, institutions, make offers when they offer to supply. Most of them are coming from DOH kasi all suppliers them DOH. The problem we had during the time is most of the offerers like si Gene Expert offers to us 24 months. But staggered. Ang problema namin, hindi natin alam kung aabot ng 24 months ang COVID. Some offers like BGI, may restriction when open kasi minsan sasabihin nila we will offer but we have us with the government. Like Singapore, I think A-Star Fortitude, we had a problem. Singapore stopped exportation. Gene Expert, US stopped exportation. Now, we also have certain restrictions in the localities. Meron silang, what we call that, exclusive distributorship rights. Uh, Meron silang ganun na contract. So, as PSDBM, we are very cautious in how we deal with the manufacturer without any trouble. So, I think I wrote a letter to BGI China through the ambassador of China requesting that we be patched directly at China. But BGI sent us a letter that there's an exclusive distributorship agreement. So we stopped kasi baka magkakaso kami. It's the same process I made with Sansure, but Sansure usually offered to us another supplier, which is from Hong Kong and one from Taiwan. I think they're the ones who's competing with each other. Also with A-Star Fortitude, ginawa ko rin yan through Singapore. Padalawin kami ng letter.
Mr.
And
Chairman,
Singapore also referred to us a representative from Singapore who directly supplied to us. So depende po yan, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, I will not ask Mr. Lau this question.
Senator Pangilinan, just a moment. Just wanted to correct the misimpression being presented by this witness. He said that Singapore stopped exporting. Actually, we had an offer from Singapore which is much lower than what you got. And in fact, you got the Singapore brand. Instead of going directly to the Singapore factory, you went to Farmally in Indonesia, which charged you a lot more. Because we got the same offer, and I have the document right here. So try not to exaggerate your statements because we can check all your statements.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chairman, may I
we
share?
were able to get directly from versus PPE Limited.
I am speaking about
Yes, sorry, I apologize, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I share with the earlier manifestation and observation of Senator Dillon that when we ask Mr. Lao all these questions, he will just keep repeating what we believe to be his interpretation, and obviously contrary to what he already testified earlier. In fact, if you will recall, Mr. Chairman, I asked for a matrix, but you said that is not necessary, and I will defer to the chairman's position, but precisely that matrix will just show that in every hearing he contradicts. If you put together all that he has said in all these hearings, from one hearing to the other, he contradicts himself. So it's I think already established, and to ask him to further explain will just bring us back to contradiction after contradiction. For the record also, Mr. Chairman, which you said earlier, and may I manifest that marami pa ito, he mentioned earlier about element, and the data submitted to us by DBMPS will show that element that has purchased about 7 billion or was able to deliver about 7 billion pesos worth of purchases from DBMPS had a capitalization of $10,000 US. So the first one had a capitalization of 625,000 pesos, Farmally, and now you have another second company worth 7 billion worth of contracts with $10,000 capitalization. Clearly, the record will show that undercapitalized suppliers and corporations were able to bag billions of pesos worth of contracts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this point, I will concur with the
Let your
manifestation.
explanation here. Here's Senator Pagdinig saying that there's another preferred supplier. Is that correct, Senator Pagdinig? $10,000 and he bagged a contract on the amount of?
Based on the data submitted, $10,000. This is the bill checks.
Yes. I have it also.
April 22, 2020, it was incorporated April 2020, in-incorporate siya, $10,000, baka Hong Kong dollars, capitalization, and was able to purchase total deliveries about 6.98 billion pesos.
I have that. I didn't realize that the capital stock is 10,000. So my point is, Mr. Lau, hindi ka ba nalulula? Kung nabibigay ka ng kontrata all by your loans na umaabot ng billion-billion or milyon-milyon, at nagbigay ka sa family ng isang kontrata na 3.8 billion ba yun? Yung maraming bilhin na sa isang golpe, isang kumpanya na napakaliit ng kapital. Yun ang hindi ko namin maintindihan sa iyo. Mukhang matalino ka naman, ha? Mukha lang, ha? Pero mukhang lumalabas na namimili ka na hindi mo tinitignan yung capitalization maliit. Pero binigay mo sa isang kumpanya lampas ng halos 10 billion to 12 billion pesos. Bakit ganun? Hindi ko maintindihan yun. Kahit anong lingwahe mo ipaliwanag sa akin, hindi ko maintindihan yun.
Mr. Chairman, one, it is not required by law, which I have been answering previously under Bayanihan 1, hindi siya ni-require. Pangalawa po, most of these companies are referred to by the manufacturers like Element.
Would you mind stopping there? I don't want to interrupt. I know you've said that before. Pero hindi ba nangangahulugan na ikaw matalino ka? Amo nga gano'n. Hindi porque sinabi sa'yo, hindi na kailangan yan. Hindi, walang ganun Walang ganun sa batas may preno lahat ang batas. Kahit sabihin na hindi mo na kailangan, basta dumating yan, hindi mo na kailangan sabihin na kailangan pa din magkaroon ka ng yung talagang tatlo pa ulit-ulit, yung financial, legal, at saka technical. At kailangan meron ka pa rin preno ng tinatawag nilang due diligence at hindi dapat itapon yung due diligence. Hindi porque may passes doon sa law na ginawa namin na pwede kayo. Hindi namin, we never in our minds thought that anybody can just get away with it without reviewing. Na hindi nyo re-reviewing kung anong kakayanan ng kumpanyang yan. Katulad yan, sumasabog Hindi namin kasalanan yan Hindi ka namin inahabol. Sumasabog Merong expired. Merong mga UP-UP. Tapos yung Pilipino nakakapagbigay ng mas mura. Tapos kinukuha mo pa rin sila. Katulad nung binigay mo sa family, isang one-time, big-time, 3.8 billion ba yan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
3.8 billion for 2 million PPEs ba yan? 3.8 billion, nakakalula yun. Kahit na 1 billion sa PPE, nakakalula na yun Hindi ka ba dapat mag-ingat? Hindi lang naman yan Ang binigay mo sa family, yun talaga ang crux of the matter. Kahit ano balukturin mo, kahit sabihin mo, nagmamadali kayo, isang kumpanya lang ang na-favor at nakalagay yan sa Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Law na makikita mo kung ikaw ay may manifestly disadvantageous to the government at may preference yung tao na binibigyan mo at wala kang negligence at ang negligence mo is so gross as to amount to bad faith, makukulong ka. Wala exemption doon.
Mr. Chairman, may I be allowed to explain?
Mr.
First,
Chair,
on the test kits.
Jesus Christ.
Chairman.
Lahat ng test kits are
Mr.
all
Chairman,
imported. There is no local manufacturer of test kits.
Let the witness speak because he's always accusing us that he cannot speak. Let the witness speak. Let us see him explain that because sa taong pangkaraniwan at ang lalaki nung binibigay mong kwarta na galing sa pinaghirapan ng tao na bilyon-bilyon tapos sabihin mo, ilusot ako dyan. Dineliver naman Di ba, kamo? Hindi porque dineliver yun. Hindi nangangalawan. Nakalusot ka na. Kung hindi mo ginawa, yun nire-require ng batas, are you telling me na in-exempt kayo doon sa technical, legal, and financial? Exempted kayo doon? Yung requirement na yun? Wala ka nang titignan na technical, wala ka nang titignan na legal, wala ka nang titignan na financial capability? Is that what you want us to believe? Answer the question, please.
I've already answered this, Mr. Chairman.
Not be impertinent.
I'm not impertinent, Mr.
You
Chairman.
are. Shut up.
Mr. Chairman?
You're trying our patience. I'm asking you a simple question and you're saying in a very sarcastic way na natanong na. Tinatanong kita, nag-isip ka na matagal, tapos ang lusot mo, sasabihin mo, ito, Eh, sinagot ko na yan. Anong sinagot mo? Are you saying legal, technical, and financial requirements have been thrown out of the window? Di ba sinasabi mo? Kung saan law school ka nag-aral? Let the record state that the witness
Refuses to answer.
because he's trying to think of another lie. That's my
I'm
only...
not seeking to answer, Mr. Chairman. I'm just
Senator Pagdinig, you're not...
Now, Senator Lacson is raising his hand.
Alright, Senator Lacson, go ahead.
Senator Lacson.
Pinagbigyan na kita eh. Binastos mo na yung isang babaeng senador, tapos akong babasusin mo. Hindi kita paparaanin. Yung impunity ninyo sa administrasyon na ito, hindi makakaraan sa mga tao katulad namin dito sa Senado. Go ahead, please. Senator Lacson.
Senping, naka-mute kayo.
Senator Ping? Ping, naka-mute kayo.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, andito yung inconsistency and misunderstanding. Si Atty. Lau keeps invoking bayanihan to heal as one act, which says it provides for an expeditious manner. Kasi kinorek natin po sa bayanihan to, nilagyan natin ng judicious economical. So he keeps invoking that, but he conveniently skips GTTD Resolution number 03-2020. Dito na paliwanag na, okay, expeditious manner, pero sinabi rin na authorize the hope to delegate to either the BAC or the end-user unit or any other appropriate bureau, committee, support, or procuring unit the authority to directly negotiate with a legally, technically, ito yung sasabi niya, Mr. Chairman, and financially. Niya ba yung income tax returns? Sabi niya, requirement ito. Kung tinignan niya yung income tax returns ng Parmani, makikita niya na hindi financially capable. Kung tinignan niya yung articles of incorporation, makikita niya hindi rin financially capable. So pag pinagsama natin yung dalawa, sa bayanihan na to heal as one act, tama, expeditious lang. Pero kinwalify ito sa GTTB Resolution number 03-2020. So ini-invoke niya yung expeditious manner. Pero kinakalimutan niya na merong resolution referring to Bayanihan 1 na kailangan yung financially capable, technically capable, legally capable. Inamin niya rin, kailangan ng income tax returns. Tiningnan niya ba? So wala talagang due diligence. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Yusek Lau, former Yusek Lau in answer to
Veros,
committed as well.
I apologize to the committee for raising my voice, but sometimes, when I see a man abuse a woman and he thinks he can get away with it, I will step in. And I just not going to tolerate him treating the chairman of the committee as if I am his student. I am not your student. Far from it. And let me prove to you how bankrupt your argument is. I have a piece of paper here. It says, Central Office Bids and Awards Committee or POBA. Nakalagay dito lahat, hinihingi ninyo na whereas on 25 March 2020, the request for quotation was issued to the following supplier with known technical, legal, and financial capability to deliver the aforesaid items based on previous procurement transactions with the POBA CC. Sabihin, talagang, kailangan, tingnan niyo muna yung legal, technical, and financial. Tama po ba yan? Yes or no?
under our in and 184 procurement po.
Yes, okay. So, hindi naman na-exempt kayo dyan, di ba? At nakalagay rin dito sa isang document na hinahawa ko kanina na kailangan tanongin nyo, ito, nakalagay dito, submit your proposal to NSA technical specifications. Ito obviously being sent to by Michelle Andy Recto. At nakalagay dito, suppliers not directly invited may participate. The duly accomplished person proposal, Annex A, shall be submitted on or before the deadline for submission of proposal or any extension thereof. The following supporting documents may be submitted anytime during submission of offers, evaluation of offers, before issuance of notice of award, or prior to payment. Number 1, mayor's permit for the year 2020. Titignan mo lang yan. 2, income tax return. 3, net financial contracting capacity. Ayan yung technical, legal, financial, sinama na dyan. Yung legal, yun yung mayor's permit, income tax, at saka yung, tapos, field jet registration number upon receipt of notice of award. At kung ito ay may platinum registration, may be submitted in lieu of the enumerated documents. Sinanong kita dyan last time, nagkaroon ng PGEP platinum award, pero good for 2022 ata yun eh, or 22 July or 21 July. Samantalang nabibiling kayo nung pang mga April. So talagang, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin sa amin, kahit na mamuti na yung mata mo, na mapapayag ang committee na babaliwalain mo yung requirements sapagkat yan lang ang protection ng tao. We are in the business of protecting our people. That's why, pero sa COVAC, otherwise, huwag tayo mag-COVAC. O, bigyan na lang natin lahat. Yan ang sinasabi mo. Basta nagmamadali tayo, pinayagan kayo ng batas, in your interpretation, hindi na pwedeng maggawa ng due diligence. So, even if you drive a car, you still have to have a license and you have to get a student permit before that, and you are required to make sure na nag-aaral ka at may lisensya ka. Ito, bilyon-bilyon. Bilyon-bilyon. Kahit na ba, sabihin mo, ulit na naman ito, kaya ba niya? Ay lumalabas na, hindi ka ba nakakahalata? Nag-deliver ka agad, tapos yung pala, galing pala sa supplier. So wala siyang capability. Diba? Malinaw naman yun na.
Mr. Chairman, if I
You may explain.
continue.
If you want to explain, you may explain.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Lisa, I'm still
Mr. Chairman.
finishing my,
Yes,
I'm just
Mr. Chairman.
asking him to answer para hindi tayo pinapaikot itong mamang ito. So it belies everything that you said.
Mr. Chairman, nga, when we were procuring under Bayanihan Law, that's the only requirement mandated to us. So that's what we are complying. If they are able to comply, then by law, we are allowed to make such an award to them.
Senator Lacson will ask, I'm sure he'll ask the same question. Go ahead, Senator Lacson.
Ito na naman ini-invoke niya yung Bayanihan 1. Pero kinakalimutan niya merong GPPP resolution. Yun yung parang sabihin na nating IRR ng Bayanihan 1. Doon talagang kinuwalipad yung sinasabi ninyo ng technical,
Legal, financial.
financial. Nandun yun eh. Kinakalimutan niyang banggitin. Ang ini-invoke niya lang yung Bayanihan 1. But there's a qualification. Kaya nga kailangan yung, sabi niyo nga Mr. Chairman, income tax return. Kailangan ng yung legal, yung mayor's permit. Eh bakit hindi niya minimension? Pabalik-balik tayo sa Bayanihan 1 na sinasabi niya lang expeditious manner. Pero may qualification eh. Yan ang problema natin, Mr. Chairman. Hindi tayo parehong wavelength kay Mr. Lau.
No, siya lang may problema doon because we are going to have to make a recommendation based on his answers. And his answers is not going to pass muster under the law. Under the risk, under the IRR, under the anti-graft law. So, I guess, nag-iisip pa siya ng sagot. Senator Lisa, you may now ask your question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And as I said earlier, in leader,
Okay naman, mana.
Yes, and submitting to what the chairman stated earlier, I will be shifting to a different witness, Mr. Chairman, asking only that PSDBM provide documents that Attorney Lau was referring to earlier. Oh, Mr. Chairman, Senpin is raising his hand.
Si Atty. Lau, meron din akong gustong clarify. Ang designation niya sa PSDBM, OIC. Hindi po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Pero alam nyo, very limited ang powers na binibigay sa OIC. As differentiated from the powers being exercised by at least an acting head of an agency. Ito yun sa Civil Service Commission, and this may aid us also in the crafting of a legislation in this regard. Ano? Kasi ang sabi ng Civil Service Commission, pagka OIC ka, may not be deemed to possess the power to appoint employees as the same involves the exercise of discretion. Now, since Attorney Lau was a mere OIC, wala siyang ganun kalapad na discretion diskresyon sa pag-approve ng mga kontrata, Mr. Chairman. So we want to find out, and probably we can formalize this or institutionalize this by way of legislation when we come up with our committee report. Na i-define natin, i-differentiate natin yung powers ng OIC vis-a-vis a permanent head of an agency or even an acting head of the agency. Maliwanag po yun kasi pag OIC ka, hindi ka rin kalapat ang iyong discretion. Day-to-day lang yung pag-administer mo ng yung exercise ng jurisdiction. That's beyond the power of an OIC. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to shift to another witness now. Just making a record first again that I request PSDBM to provide the documents that Attorney Lau was referring to earlier about supposedly considering other suppliers for those test kits. Making of record also at this point, Mr. Chairman, that in fact Australia and Chile were able to procure those test kits for much cheaper because they went straight to the manufacturer. Even UNICEF, in its reference documents, priced those test kits lower than the price at which PSDBM procured them during the watch of Attorney Lau. And before I shift to my next witness, Mr. Chairman, I just like to make of record my thanks, Mr. Chairman. This woman who stands up for herself would like to thank the chairman for his solidarity. Mr. Chairman, if I may ask now questions of Attorney Uwayan. Thank you, Attorney Uwayan. Attorney, nag-procure din po kayo ng RT-PCR test kits as OICED of PSDBM, tama po ba?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Attorney. And were you the person who selected Pharmally to supply those test kits?
No, Mr. Chairman. We sent out RFQs, request for quotations,
Right.
on the known suppliers of BGI test kits. There are a lot of them. There are, I think, 2 or 3 of them who are authorized distributors of BGI here in the Philippines.
So, pero kung hindi kayo yung pumili sa Pharmally, sino yung pumili sa kanila?
After the RFQ were sent out, Pharmally offered the lowest price, such
Okay.
that after offering a lowest price, negotiations between Pharmally and SUD.
Pero Attorney, tulad nung panahon ni Attorney Lau, in your position now, kanino ang final decision? Di ba sa inyo? Sa inyo rin ang last touch ngayon sa pagpili ng Pharmally para procurean ng test kits na iyon?
That would be correct, Mr. Chairman.
Right, so kayo po. Aware ba kayo na hindi naman yung Pharmally ang manufacturer ng test kits na yon?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
You were. So, didn't it also occur to you, Attorney, to simply go straight to BGI to procure those test kits? Tulad ng ginawa ng Australia, tulad ginawa ng Chile, tulad ng nire-recommend ng UNICEF. Dumiretso na lang sana sa BGI. Hindi nyo ba naisip gawin na lang yon?
Mr. Chairman, BGI had existing dealership agreements with local companies here. And as I understand it, if we go directly to the manufacturer, it would affect the dealership agreement. And I am not privy to what the dealership agreement says, since I have not seen it, but based on my understanding, if a manufacturer offers dealership agreements to a distributor, it has to abide by that dealership agreement.
Pero Attorney, kung hindi nyo pa nga nakikita yung dealership agreement, paano nyo paniniwalaan, diba? Kanino ba may dealership agreement yung BGI dito sa Pilipinas?
LabX, Biosite, and Pharmally.
LabX, Biosite, at saka Pharmally. So, kanino kayo nag-transact din ba kayo sa LabX? Nag-transact din ba kayo sa Biosite? Or sa Pharmaly lang kayo nag-transact?
We offered RFQs to those aforementioned companies, Mr. Chairman, as per records rather, from the RITM.
Per records from RITM.
Yeah,
Humingi
yes,
kayo
Mr.
ng,
Chairman.
humingi kayo ng RFQ sa 3 kumpanyang iyon.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, from what I can recall.
From what you can recall. And sabi nyo, pinili nyo ang Pharmaly. Bakit po?
They offered the lowest price based
They
on the return of the quotations po.
They offer the lowest price, attorney, just compared among the 3. Pero gaya ng binanggit ko kanina, nakabili ang Australia, nakabili ang Chile, recommended ng UNICEF at much lower prices dahil dumiretso sa manufacturer. Don't tell me, attorney, dito lang mayroong dealership agreements. Wala sa Australia, wala sa Chile. Walang binabanggit na dealership agreements ang UNICEF. So bakit parang special arrangement na naman dito sa Pilipinas?
I would not know about the dealership agreements in other countries, Mr. Chairman. But what I do know is that there are existing dealership agreements here in the Philippines with respect to BGI.
Kaya lang sabi nyo kanina, attorney, hindi nyo nakita yung dealership agreements na iyon. Ako nga, hindi ako abogado, pero pag makarinig ako ng dealership agreement, which would prevent me from going straight to the manufacturer in another country to get the same product at the same quality, mas mura para sa gobyerno ko, I would demand to see that agreement bago ko paniwalaan. And before I give it primacy over procuring those quality products at the best price. Attorney, sino ba nagsabi sa inyo tungkol sa dealership agreements? Who told you of such dealership agreements?
It was actually RITM, Mr. Chairman.
RITM. Sino po sa RITM ang nagsabi sa inyo tungkol sa dealership agreements?
I would have to check the records, Mr. Chairman. I think there was a letter sent by RITM specifying the mode of procurement, whether it be direct contracting or under emergency cases, considering that there are distributors recognized in the Philippines.
Attorney naman, parang ang dalas ko nang marinig dito sa hearing yung I will have to check. Yung Pharmaly na nga eventually yung pinili ninyong procuran. Sabi nyo kasi lowest price at dahil mayroong dealership agreements which prevented you from going straight to the manufacturers like other countries did. So, Mr. Chairman, I wonder if there's RITM here who can corroborate what Attorney Uwayan has said and who can identify the person who told Attorney Uwayan about these all-powerful dealership agreements. Unfortunately, Mr. Chairman, I don't see RITM online. Am I correct, Mr. Chairman? Walang RITM dito.
Mr. Chair,
There's none.
from RITM.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Do you confirm, ma'am, yung...
And,
yes, Mr. Chairman.
have you been placed under oath, Dr. Carlo?
Not yet po.
Director Kimbo, please administer the oath.
Thank you, Mr.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this proceeding?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let the record say that Dr. Carlos is taking a her oath.
Salamat po, Mr. Chairman. Salamat, Dr. Dr. Carlos, kino-confirm niyo po ba yung sinabi ni Attorney Uwayan na RITM ang nag-inform sa kanya na may dealership agreements para sa BGI test kits and that therefore PSDBM could not direct to BGI to procure these?
I do not confirm the statement. What RITM only provided were the specifications, technical specifications for the items, especially the kits, and no other information. And we were also asked to prepare the PPMP procurement plan. That is only the role of RITM.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. Carlos. So, Attorney Uwayan, kailangan kong bumalik sa inyo. I'm sorry, RITM mismo ang nagpasinungaling sa sinabi nyo na it was their institute that informed you of these so-called dealership agreements with BGI that prevented PSDBM from going straight to BGI manufacturer, and eventually napaboran na naman nagkaroon na naman ng grasya ang Pharmaly through a procurement contract with PSDBM. So, I need to ask you again, Attorney Uwayan, sino ba talaga ang nag-inform sa inyo that there are these things called dealership agreements?
Mr. Chairman, if we take your kind indulgence, we do have a letter coming from DOH regarding that matter.
Who
we
in
will send
DOH, Attorney Uwayan?
If I'm not mistaken, would be under the office of Asset Nestor.
Asek Nestor. Ang apelido ni Asek Nestor?
Forgot, Mr. Chairman. Check.
Sige, we will check that also. Pero, Attorney Uwayan, no? You
Asset Nestor Santiago.
Asek Santiago. But just for the record, Mr. Chairman, and if I need to belabor the obvious to Attorney Uwayan, you misidentified RITM as the source
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
for information.
I deeply apologize for it. I do not have the records with me right now.
I hope the records heard that.
We do have a letter coming from DOH regarding that.
So, Attorney Uwayan, was it Asek Santiago who informed you about the so-called dealership agreements with BGI for the Philippines, which prevented PSDBM from going straight to BGI China and then ended up again awarding a very nice contract to Pharmaly? It was Asek Santiago.
From what I recall, Mr. Chairman, they gave us a list of the items needed
Ganun nila yung wallet. Yung wallet ko.
for the testing, specifying therein the type of test kit needed to be procured, the quantity, as well as their budget for the test kit, and including the modality of procurement to be used.
Kaya lumabas yung usapin ng dealership agreement. Sorry, yes. So, Mr. Chairman, may I know if Asek Santiago is present in this hearing? Asek Nestor Santiago.
He is.
He is, Mr. Chairman. Salamat po. Asek Santiago.
Bumili ka na dun. Bibili ka ba?
Asset Santiago?
Ayun din. Sa wallet.
Yes, ma'am.
Bakit sa wallet ko si makakain?
At ito.
Okay, salamat Asek Santiago. Pwede ba kayong
Ayaw ko na.
makita sa video para makita po namin kayo at makita natin?
Yes po, ma'am. Dito na po.
Hindi ko po kayo makita, sir. Nakabuksan yung video nyo?
Pambukas, ma'am.
Oh, I cannot see him, Mr. Chairman. Can anybody else see Asek Santiago?
Dito na po. Yes, ma'am.
Ayun, okay, sir. All right. Oh, I hope you're not driving. Mobile pala kayo. Asek, kino-confirm niyo po ba yung sinabi ni Attorney Uwayan na kayo ang sumulat sa kanya para sabihing mayroong dealership agreement ang BGI dito sa Pilipinas? Asek, if you could please keep your camera on para makita namin kayo.
Yes, ma'am, I'm checking my documents. If you would allow me po to check my documents if you really have sent the letter.
All right, but anyway, the letter, it's just the form of communication. Ang interest po talaga ng komite, kayo ba yung nagsabi kay Yusek Uwayan, kay Attorney Uwayan, na Attorney Uwayan, may dealership agreement ang BGI sa Pilipinas, so kailangan dumaan lang kayo sa mga may hawak ng dealership agreement na iyon, na yung isa ay Pharmaly, na eventually, yun ang inawardan ng PSDBN ng kontrata. Kayo ba? Kayo ba yung nag-inform kay Attorney Uwayan tungkol sa dealership agreements?
Ma'am, I'm sorry I cannot answer it now, but if you may allow, I will check the records now, and maybe I can answer you later, just to check my documents.
please do be able, ASEC, to answer this question during this hearing. Kasi alam naman ng buong bansa, lalo na kayong nasa DOH, napakainit ng investigasyong ito ng Blue Ribbon sa Pharmaly. And well, hindi naman ako health expert, pero I would expect sana ng isang DOH official on this on matters as important as this, medyo maaalala. But sige po, as long as you answer. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Senator,
If I may po.
Lisa, may I?
Mr. Chairman.
With your permission. Is that the practice in DOH? Kasi tinuturuan nyo kung sino ang, alam nyo kaagad kung sino ang may dealership agreement. Nakakaduda yun ah. Yung ba talagang ginagawa nyo? Mali yan. Ang bibili, ang dapat makaalam. At kayo, hindi kayo dapat nagre-recommend, baka meron kayong special arrangement. Saan ano, mapasok sa isipan ko. Can you answer the question, Attorney Santiago?
Sir, as I've said, please allow me to check.
I can ask you about the records. Ang tinatanong ko, is that the habit or is that the practice? Na nabibigay informasyon na kabisado nyo na, oy, huwag kayo kumuha dyan. Walang dealership yan. Ito, may dealership ito. Itong puntahan nyo. Ganun ba yun? Hindi ba?
Sir, what we usually do is to submit the name of the previous suppliers who were awarded. Like for example, for RITM, because RITM usually are the ones procuring.
Let me remind you
names of the suppliers.
Let me remind you of our experience in the Red Cross, no? The maligned Red Cross. Sorry. Magtanong ako sa inyo kung anong kinukuha nyo. At actually, anong nangyari, nagtanong ako sa ambassador, nagtanong ako sa Red Cross International. At nasabi sa amin na yung Sansure ang ginamit nila. At dumiretsa kami doon at nagkaroon sila ng dealership dito. Hindi ako bumili doon sa dealership, bumili ako sa kanila direktamente. Ang laking mura. Ganito rin yung Singapore, Attorney Wayan, no? Sa Singapore, yung Accelerate, yun ang nagbigay sa amin ng offer, the A-Star Fortune Kit 2C.0, ang lumalabas 120,000 ang sinisingil sa amin ay lumalabas 125,000 pero 68 kung bibili kami. Pero ang Pharmaly, hindi namin binili yan. Ang Pharmaly, binigay nyo sa kanila, ang binayad nila, 366,000.
Yun twice.
Tignan nyo itong kamay ko. Ito yung Singapore, mas mababa. Ito yung Pharmaly. Ang kinuha nyo, yung mas mahal. Hindi kaya delikado yung nagre-recommend eh. Dapat talaga, kung ikaw ay may malasakit na PSDBM, magtitingin ka kung sino talaga ang pinakamura. I don't care kung anong sabihin na nagmamadali kayo. Kung may makukuha ang mura, na pareho rin ng quality, kukunin mo yun. Pero pag nagtanong ka sa RITM at binigyan ka ng RITM, pagdududahan ko yung RITM, ba't kayo nagre-recommend? Can you blame me for that, Attorney Asek Santiago? I'm sorry, sir. I cannot hear you.
Sir, I think PSDBM, sir, can answer to that po.
Pero talagang katingin mo, dapat ba ginagawa ninyo yan? Labas sa trabaho nyo, di ba?
Yes po, because PSDBM are the ones procuring po for us.
Tama. Yan ang sagot na tama. Yes, Senator Dillon, I can see you issue
Yes. Yes, this from Attorney Uwayan. Is it not your obligation to try to get the lowest price for the same quality? And that would dictate that you're going first to the manufacturer. Hindi po ba? In this particular case, did you try finding out if you can buy directly from the manufacturer?
Mr. Chairman, we tried to get it from the manufacturer, DJI. That was last year.
Hold on. You tried to get it from manufacturer.
Yes.
what is the manufacturer again?
For BGI, Mr. Chairman, for the BGI test kits.
Who is the manufacturer that you tried to contact?
I would have to check, Mr. Chairman, since the event happened last year.
Matagal na po natin itong iniimbestiga sa even so you have not seen, you have not examined the contracts that are subject matter of this investigation. Just one question. Did you get in touch with the VGI manufacturer in there?
Last year we did, Mr. Chairman. We had an email sent from them.
Okay, so what did they say? Did they give you a quotation?
They replied that we contact the local distributor supplying in the Philippines.
They were the ones who gave you that information, not the Department of Health people, Assistant Secretary.
No, Mr. Chairman, the letter sent from the DOH listed that there are existing suppliers. And for the other test kits, they stated in their letter that it is an exclusive distributor. So with that from them, we confirm the exclusive distributorship such that the modality of procurement is under direct contracting. Mr. Chairman.
I give up.
Mr. Chair. I really don't know. Sir, you're a lawyer. You are the one designed to procure. Sabi mo kanina, nagkonsulta ka sa RITM. Tapos napunta tayo sa DOH. Tapos ngayon, yung pala, ang sabi mo kanina, kaya rin sinasabi ko, we communicated from them. Ano yan? Sinulatan muna ba kayo? Nag-offer siguro sila, kaya nakuha nyo yung offer, right?
No, Mr. Chairman. I apologize for mentioning RITM earlier.
Tumitingin ka doon sa kamo eh.
Yes,
ang lumalabas doon sa akin, maaaring sinulatan ka. Sige, kung i-insist mo kayong tumawag. So nonetheless, you had already prior knowledge, which is the question is correct. Na alam mo na may dealer. Ba't ka pa magtatanong doon sa kay Attorney kaya Asek Santiago?
I don't know, Mr. Chairman. I was actually reading.
Tungkulin ninyo yun. Hindi nila tungkulin yun. Magsasabit pa kayo ng walang kasalanan. Ano naman yan? Okay, go ahead.
Maybe para lang masara na itong misteryosong usapang ito, who told what? Who told whom what? Pwede ba, Attorney Uwayan, i-provide nyo na lang yung komite nung email na yon para masara na yung usapang ito. It's clear, it become clear to us.
Yeah.
Sino ba talaga ang nagsabi sa inyo ng ganyan dealership agreement and therefore you cannot go directly to BGI China. The way Australia did, the way Chile did, the way UNICEF knows how, and even the Red Cross. Can you provide that email, Attorney Uwayan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We will provide the committee of the communications policy with respect to the test.
Mr. Chairman, I see Sen Kiko raising his hand.
Masusunod ba yung customs? Hindi naman.
Mr. Chairman, with the permission.
Your time is up. You can go on the next round. Senator Pangilinan, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for the information of the committee, DBMPS in fact went directly to the manufacturer of Milkses in June of 2020 and purchased precisely testing kits at 925 pesos. So 2 months after they purchased testing kits from Armali at 1,720 pesos, they entered into a arrangement or agreement for the purchase of 1.18 billion worth of the same testing kits at 925 pesos. with a different delivery date. So they were able to do that, and that's for the record. With sa tagal sa mga hearing na ito, marami na akong nagpo-provide kasi ng information, dokumento sa loob ng gobyerno at sa labas dahil nga concerned sila na gusto nilang lumabas yung katotohanan. Are you familiar with the Philippine United Technique Corporation?
No, Mr. Chairman. I have not read that name in any of the papers that I have.
I'm asking if you read in any of the papers because now you know that it's not in any of the papers. Earlier you could say I will have to check the papers. Wait, I'm not yet done.
Okay. Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
So when you're not sure of the answer, you say you have to check the papers. When you're sure of your answer, you haven't seen it in any of the papers. It's sort of a bit inconsistent, no? Parang agad-agad mong sinasabing walang Philippine United Technique Corporation sa mga nakita mong dokumento. That's not my question. My question is, I didn't ask you whether you saw it in any document. I asked you if you're familiar with Philippine United Technique Corporation.
I'm not familiar with that.
Remember, you are under oath. Huh?
I'm not familiar with that company, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. The reason why I raised this is because we have email photos, and they are willing to come out, at the right time. The Philippine United Technique Corporation, which I think perhaps is BPI or can look into this. Is the BGI's exclusive Philippine distributor for the subject RTC PCR kits. So you're not familiar with...
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So we will have to look into this, Mr. Chairman, because a series of emails from a certain Dennis Manalastas sent to via phone wind group, actually, sent to Hong Liu of BGI.com. Yung ba yung kausap ninyo, yung Hong Liu of BGI.com, when you said you went straight to the manufacturer?
Mr. Chairman, that communication happened last year. I was not yet connected with PSDBM, so I would have to retrieve the email communication messages.
Okay, so please check and let us know. hong.liu@bgi.com. Subject, request for quotation for BGI RT-PCR kit. Okay? And then, sabi mo, after you communicated or DBNPS communicated with the manufacturer, you said that the BGM manufacturer referred you to a distributor, right? And who was that distributor?
What I can recall is they referred as the contact local distributor.
Yes. And who was the local distributor that they referred?
Formally is one of the local distributors. This is for this year, Mr. Chairman. That's the last year's communication. I have not seen it.
Okay, because the local distributor that was referred to last year was Dennis. a certain Dennis Manalastas. And interesting enough, Dennis.Manalastas at fullwin.com. Fullwin. With the office at 3F1NTO 3rd Avenue Corner 26th Street, BGC, Taguig City, 1634 Metro Manila, Philippines. United.technic@outlook.com. And he is the General Counsel. Dennis Manalastas is General Counsel of Philippine United Technic Corporation. So we will have to look into this in terms of your incorporators ng Philippine United Technic Corporation, if the SEC will turn over the documents upon the request of this committee. And perhaps in the next hearing, we can invite Philippine United Technic Corporation, Mr. Dennis Manalastas. It's interesting that his email address is dennis.manalastas@winph.com. So at least you confirm that you went direct to the manufacturers last year and they referred you to a local manufacturer. You are not familiar with the local manufacturer or distributor rather that they referred to last year, but this year they referred you to FAN. That's your testimony, correct, Mr. Owaya?
For this year, Mr. Chairman, we have 3 distributors.
Yes, this is last year, 2020. So may we request the committee to subpoena or to invite Mr. Dennis.Manalastas at fullwinph.com to the next hearing, as well as the officers or the representative of Philippine United Technic Corporation.
So ordered. Director Kimball is ordered to make the proper subpoena, and the subpoena to just text on if any for documents in
Yes,
case.
Your Honor.
On it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have also questions for Mr. Catalan. Is he still around?
Yes, he is.
Yes, Mr. Roger Catalan. Gandang hapon. Where is Mr. Catalan?
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. You were with the DBMPS, tama po, Mr. Catalan?
Yes, Your Honor, until December 15, 2020, Your Honor.
And how many years were you a contractual in DBMPS?
Actually, I was hired as job order in October 2005, and I became a regular contractual January of 2007. So that will be more than 13 years, Your Honor.
13.
Yes, sir.
Actually, 15 if you include. So the whole time you were with DBMPS was 15 years, tama?
Correct, Your Honor.
And why did you...
Senator Pagdinig, by your leave, the Secretary of Health has asked permission to go to a meeting with the President at 6 o'clock. So unless there are any other observations or questions with the Secretary, I will allow him to. Senator Tolentino, you have an objection to that? Yes, in fact, next in line is you. You're next in line.
Yes, but my questions would be directed to the Good Secretary, if I may be allowed. If he's leaving, I won't be asking questions.
With the permission of Secretary Senator Pagdinig.
It's just perhaps a few 2 minutes, and then I can yield the floor to if that is okay. Just for this competition.
Go ahead. Make it brief.
Yes. We will yield to Senator Tolentino after 2 minutes. So Mr. Catalan, tama po ba kayo ang nag-instruct na pirmahan ang mga delivery, ang inspection reports kahit wala pang delivery?
Thank you for that question, Your Honor. Since September 13, yan po yung gusto kong i-clarify actually.
Yes, go ahead.
Because I heard you say na You cannot believe that because as a chief accountant, I have no authority uh, over inspection division. It's chief as a matter. And I cannot recall giving instructions po to any staff na hindi po directly under me.
So hindi under you si Mr. Mendoza at si Mr. Tangkintik.
Yes, Your Honor, that will be correct.
So hindi tama yung sinasabi nilang ikaw ang umutos. Tama ba yun?
That will be correct, Your Honor, because they are under the operations.
Were you in any of these meetings discussing these deliveries?
Your Honor, I cannot recall any meetings with them, Your Honor.
So you deny giving the instruction and you deny being in any meeting with them.
Yes, Your Honor. But what I can recall, as per our process, papers will come to us to process for payment, and we will check. We have a checklist, and I will require the document as an attachment to my payment.
So that you required.
That will be a requirement.
That you told them to submit, but you did not tell them kahit you submit an inspection report even if you did not deliver it. They did not deliver. Hindi mo sinabi yun.
That will be true, Your Honor.
Okay. I will continue with you later. I just wanted that established at least na yung hindi tama, or at least from your point of view, hindi totoo yung sinasabi ni Mr. Mendoza at Mr. Tangkintik na kayo ang umutos na pirmahan yung mga delivery inspection reports, yung inspection kahit walang delivery. Okay, thank you. I will yield now and I will just resume later, Mr. Chairman. I will yield to Senator Tolentino. At least that has been established.
Mr. Mendoza and Mr. Tangkintik are here. You might want a quick repost from them.
Well, I can, okay, if the chairman will agree. Go ahead, Mr. Tangkintik, anong masasabi ninyo? Hindi daw si Mr. Catalan ang nagsabing pirmahan ninyo kahit walang delivery.
Actually, Your Honor,
go ahead.
I only took orders from my boss at that time, which was Sir George Mendoza, regarding the report.
So you were not the one who, so you did not say na si Catalan because you actually confirmed, didn't you, that Catalan was the one who ordered you?
No, Your Honor, I said it was my boss, George Mendoza.
Okay, so George Mendoza, where are you? Jorge, the third.
Mr. Mendoza, please.
Okay, good afternoon po, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Okay po.
So sino nag-utos sa inyo? Kasi sabi mo si Catalan, sabi naman ni Mr. Catalan, wala naman siya sa division ninyo. Bakit niya ikaw uutusan?
Okay, to clarify things, no, Your Honor. Kami po, inspection, we just provide po yung inspection report. Okay, then at that time, we had this chat with Mr. Catalan. He was saying that he cannot effect the advance payment without our inspection report or the ICAR. Okay? So, in effect, yung ICAR pong yun will serve as a pro forma document for the accounting or the finance to effect the payment po.
So you're saying he instructed you to sign the inspection reports?
He just said that an ICAR is required for him to effect the payment.
Can you repeat that, please? Can you repeat that, please? I could not understand what you said. He just said.
Kasi po yung aming we had this system, the FACT, or the FACT, FACT, it's an accounting software. Yung aming mga tasks po, yung aming mga processes is interconnected. Okay po? The accounting cannot effect the payment without the aming yung which is a system generated then yung ICAR po or the inspection report or in that case a pro forma document. Okay po. So walang attachment si accounting, he cannot effect the payment without those documents.
So,
So yun po, no? Normally naman kasi, when it comes to processing ng payment, the accounting has to scrutinize all the attachments. Okay, that will include, of course, yung inspection report, the supplier's invoice or delivery receipts, and the other attachment as well for the accounting process.
Ang simple lang nung tanong Mr. Mendoza.
Yes, Your Honor.
Sinasabi mo hindi inutusan ka ni Mr. Catalan. Ang sinasabi ni Mr. Catalan, hindi kanya inutusan.
Okay, pero how can the accounting effect po yung payment with that document lang, considering inspection report lang po yun? Wala pang invoice.
He told you, I cannot release the amounts and we cannot pay unless you sign the inspection reports, even if it's not yet delivered. Ganon.
Not in that manner po, no? He just said he cannot effect payment without our inspection report.
And you took that to mean it was an instruction from him that you signed the report?
At that time, Your Honor, you're asking who instructed me. And at that time, I said the management instructed. Kasi indirect po No direct instruction from He just said for him to process payment, we need the I-card.
You expect us to believe, Mr. Mendoza, that you are to sign a dubious document through indirect communication? And you said it is unusual. So, Mr. Catalan, who's telling the truth? You instructed daw Hindi mo daw mababayaran yung China na kung hindi niya pirmahan. Tama po ba yun? Yun ang sinabi mo?
I think it's just words, Your Honor.
Okay, who instructed you to process these documents?
We have a process, Your Honor.
No, who? I'm not asking you about the process. Who instructed you to process the documents? I'm not talking about...
It would be Your Honor, because what I can recall is there is a directive from the head of the agency.
From?
From the head of there was a directive from the head of the agency.
So, Mr. Lao, in other words,
that we must prioritize procurement of COVID-19 response items.
That's not my question. My question is, who instructed you to process the documents for the release of the payment for deliveries that have not been made? Who instructed you? You said head of agency. So that's Mr. Lao.
It's a general directive po. Yes, correct. That is a general directive.
Okay, so it's a directive.
Let me
prioritize our
from him. Was that Mr. Lau, sir?
Not on this particular transaction, sir. If you are saying that on this particular transaction,
I'm talking as a general direction.
Yeah, yes, you are correct, Mr. Chair.
That directive says what?
That we prioritize these COVID-19 items procured under the Bayanihan 1 law, since there is an urgent need for these items, Your Honor.
Yes, but you knew, Mr. Chairman, yes, but you knew that the deliveries were not yet done, right?
Mr. Chair, if I could make a clarify that...
yes or no lang naman.
I just answered the question.
Yes, you knew that the items were not yet delivered.
Yeah.
At that time, yes, sir.
Okay, and then there was a general instruction to fast track all payments, right? Yeah, okay.
Senator Gelang? Senator Gelang, please.
First, are you saying that you did this on your own or upon instruction of Mr. Lau? Remember that you are committing an offense. You are falsifying documents, saying that you inspected this, when in fact no inspection took place. I hope you realize that it is not that simple to say, I just relied on general instruction. Because the conclusion is you did it on your own. You did not do it on your own, did you? You were instructed.
Brad, luto na
If I may clarify, Your Honor.
Just answer me. Were you instructed or not? Huh?
It's based on my
Yes.
payments are based on the contract, Your Honor.
I'm
If the
sorry. I'm
contract
sorry.
says my payments are based on the contract, Your Honor. So if the
No.
contract says
No.
I need
The
no further
ins-
instruction, but just to follow the contract, Your Honor.
no. The contract say you inspect even if the merchandise was not there.
Your Honor, I don't have the documents right now, but if I heard from Mr. Melvin Tangquintec one time during the hearing, he explained that the one that they prepared was a pro forma iCar since the contract is FOB shipping point. That's the explanation of Mr.
Uh,
Melvin Tangquintec.
you know, uh, even a high school student cannot believe cannot believe the statement that you did this on your own because of the general directive. Because if you say that, then you are the one liable for falsification of public documents. Do you realize that? I checked on your background. You have the people were vouching for you. Now I can see that you're covering up for somebody. I cannot help but tell you that conclusion because you were saying that you just followed the general instruction found in documents and you just signed the inspection report without actually without actually seeing the goods. How often do you do this, Mr. Catalan?
These are not normal conditions, Your Honor, if I can recall.
Again, again.
If I can recall, Your Honor, we have one general meeting presided by Joseph Lau, members of the procurement division, the finance division, and also the operations division.
And the instructions were given. The instructions were given there by Mr. Lau.
The general instruction was to assist, Your Honor, in the fast tracking of.
Were the instructions given there or not? Were instructions given or not? I'm trying to save your neck, huh? But you don't want to save your neck. Were instructions given?
The questions of Senator Dillon. That's why you're going to be the one on the carpet for falsification. So please answer the question. You've been you're trying to play safe. Go direct to the point, please. Go ahead. I think you can do that.
Yes, Your Honor, I will tell the truth. But the truth is that we have a process in accounting. That documents come to accounting, and then there's a routing sheet that is for payment already. And so we check the contents, the attached documents, because I certify that the documents are complete and proper for payment. So if you are asking me that on this particular transaction that Mr. Mendoza was telling the committee that I instructed him, then I did not instruct him, and nobody instructed him except for that meeting that Yusek Lau directed us to assist in the payment of this during at the height of the pandemic.
Okay. What did you understand by assist?
Your Honor, since I think that there are scarce supplies and the Philippines is competing against other nations buying this PPE supplies in China. And
Did you understand? Let me ask you point blank. Did you understand assist to mean that you certified the inspection of goods when the goods are not there?
Your Honor, clarify, I did not make the certification that the goods are not there.
Huh? You did not.
It is our inspection division, Your Honor. It's not part of my duties and responsibility.
Yeah, you're muted. You're muted.
Who was in that meeting with Mr. Lau? You have confirmed that there was a meeting. Who else was in the meeting?
I think
Was
the Bids and Awards Committee people.
Was Mr.
or the
Mendoza there? He was head of the inspection division. Was he in the meeting, Mr. Mendoza?
I cannot recall, Your Honor, that Mr. Mendoza. Probably he can confirm it.
Were you in that meeting, Mr. Mendoza?
Definitely, Your Honor, I was not in that.
So who represented you in the inspection division in that meeting?
I think at that time we are under the operations group, or maybe the operations director then was the one who represented the inspection division instead.
Well, anyway, that meeting took place because it has been testified to by Mr. Mendoza. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Minority Leader. We'll leave it at that, Mr. Chairman.
We're very confused now with the answers. You know, Mr. Raul Catalan, naguguluhan ako sa inyo sinabi dito ni George Mendoza na matter of fact, sinabi niya wala yung goods pinirmahan nila. Nasa China pa. Correct ba yun, George Mendoza? Correct. So, ang hinahanap ngayon, sino nagpapirma? Ang sinasabi ngayon ni Raul Catalan, ang atmosphere ay may utos na kailangan bilisan dahil may competition tayo. So kahit hindi na tinignan, napirmahan ninyo. Tama ba yan?
Yes, Your Honor, kasi nga po pro forma document pa lang yan at that time. Hindi pa siya final inspection.
Yes. So thank you. That's all I want. That's all I want
Yes.
to do.
Yeah, but the pro forma document generates the payment.
That's right.
Diba? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Diba? Okay.
At ang last touch, si Mr. Catalan ang last touch. Pag pinirma niya, babayaran na yan. Di ba, Mr. Catalan?
That's it, Your Honor.
Ha?
I just prepared the disbursement voucher, Your Honor.
Pag pinirma niya, clear na yan. Na-deliver na, nalabas, di ba?
That's it, Your Honor.
Ano pala?
It's still for approval of our head of the agency, Your Honor.
Bakit di mo masabi si Mr. Lau, head of agency? Maraming head of agency. Mr. Lau ba yun?
It's for the approval of Isaac Lau, Your Honor.
Correct. O, yun.
So, alam na yung supplies na ini-inspect nyo, wala pa dito sa atin. Dahil sabi nyo, pro forma, etc. So alam niya na ang inspection report, pro forma lamang, wala pa yung goods dito, in-inspect nyo na. Alam niyo yun, di ba?
I think I will be best to answer that question, Mr. Chairman.
I am not asking you, Mr. Lau, if you please.
Okay.
I am not asking you.
You're not recognized. Senator Dillon is conducting a cross-examination. Bakit ka nag-represent ka? Mahuhuli ka na ba?
Oh, sige. So, Mr. Lau knew, being the last touch, as Senator Gordon would say, that the inspection report is a pro forma report, that you signed it indicating inspection, but in fact the goods were not here. For the record, the witnesses are not answering, Mr. Chairman. For the record.
Mr. Chairman, also for the record, they refuse or they are hesitant to name Mr. Lao. They are hesitant to divulge information that clarify the matter, and they seem to be very afraid.
That's correct. I would just like to qualify that because the record shows that you asked a question of Senator Pangilinan as to whether the that nasa China pa, that were sent even if it did not inspect the goods, wala pa yung goods, wala pang delivered goods. Ang sagot ni Mr. Mendoza, wala pa po. Nasa China pa po, Your Honor. Well, that speaks volume. That is a direct answer to a question, and the man was being honest. Di ba, Mr. Mendoza?
Yes, Your Honor.
Nasa China pa, pinirmahan nyo. Pero kahit ano pa sabihin nyo, kahit na nagmamadali tayo, wala yung goods pipirmahan natin. Mali yun. Hindi nyo pipirmahan nyo kung wala talagang suasion yung inyong, ano tawag doon? Head of agency. Di ba? Parang may suasion di ba? Di ba, Mr. Raul Catalan? Yung head of agency, di ba? May suasion Talagang, uy, bilisan nyo na. Kasi, didikit ko na para malaman nyo kung paano ko kadelikado itong sinasabi natin, Si Mr. Lau spent only a year and a half, if I'm not mistaken, or almost 2 years. Nung matapos na lahat ng order na ito, nag-resign na siya. Tama ba yan?
1 year and a half, sir.
1 year and a half. Tama. Nung matapos na lahat ito, alis na siya. You are now holding the empty bag, George Mendoza. Hawak mo at saka si Mr. Catalan. Dahil pinayagan nyo na dumating yung goods na wala nasa China, akala pinalalabas na dumating dito at pinirmahan nyo. I'm sure you understand that, right, George? Ano yan?
Okay, Your Honor, if I may, Your Honor.
Yes, you may.
I'm not very particular with the date, but I've overheard this from former Yusek Lau that at that time, yun nga po, may scarcity ng supply and the PPEs are only available in China. But China people, or the China suppliers, do not accept purchase order. They just accept cash. And as said by Mr. Catalan, we are competing with our countries. Pag wala kang cash, hindi ka papansinin. That's why we have to pick up po yung ating or ano po doon contract is to FOB China airport. So we need to seek assistance from the ito overheard ko lang po ito from yung Senado at that time. We seek assistance from the Philippine Air Force using their C-130. Okay, that's why we managed to get the supplies there. Of course, there is
wala ka na sa topic. At tinatalong lang natin, basta dumating yan, ang sabi mo dito, malinaw, pinirma mo kahit na wala pa yung goods, period. Ibig sabihin, at the very least, kung in-inspeksyon, kahit na parang, uy, may butas ito, uy, below standard ito. Wala lang ganun, basta lumabas na lang. Huwag na natin palitan yun. Okay na yan. Unless gusto mong palitan.
But Your Honor, dumating po yung shipment, sinap-check po rin for testing, for inspection po yun. Opo, yung as I was saying kanina po, di ba, finish na po yung C-130, sinabject pa rin po sa inspection yun after arriving po dito sa amin.
Sino nag-inspection? Napirmahan na bago dumating. Napirmahan na. Ano pa, inspection may papel na
But yung details po kasi nga po, yung ICAR po is just a pro forma document. Then the
Jesus Christ. You know, if I will suggest the two of you guys, you better consult a lawyer because lahat niyo pong sinasabi dito, masasabit kayo. Your only defense, if I may advise you, is to say that we were just following instructions of a superior officer.
Mr. Chairman.
Because the way you are saying it, you're trying to save the skin of Mr. Lau at your expense. You're trying to save the neck of Mr. Lau at your expense.
Mr. Chairman, and just to stress that point, ganun din ang nangyari, Mr. Tangkintik, doon sa tinanggap ninyong mga testing kits na 2 buwan na lang mag-expire. Na ang usapan 12 to 24 months. Tinanggap ninyo kahit na alam ninyo hindi dapat ninyo tatanggapin. Ibig sabihin, merong nag-instruct sa inyo na tanggapin yun kahit na hindi ito consistent with the technical specification. It's a pattern, Mr. Tangkintik, Mr. Mendoza, na ginagawa ninyo kahit na kontra dun sa mga dapat yung pinapatupad. Natatakot kayo, at kayo rin, Mr. Catalan, na sagutin ng tama kasi nga ituturo nyo yung mastermind. Ano.
Sir Mendoza, pakinggan mo yung sinabi ni Senator Dillon at saka ni Senator Pangilinan. Pakinggan mo sasabihin ko ngayon, ha? Simple lang. The fact is, you signed that you inspected it when in fact you did not. Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Mendoza.
Opo.
No, tapos na. Tapos na. Hindi mo nakita, pinirma mo at medyo minuguso mo ng konti si Mr. Catalan. Ang rason naman ni Mr. Catalan, meron kasing atmosphere na nagmamadali. At sinabi ni Yusek Lao, ang tawag nila doon, yung agency head, di ba? Sinabi na nagmamadali tayo, baka iiwanan tayo. Sige na. So yung trabaho nyo, hindi nyo ginawa. Tapos na ang tanong ko, wala na akong tatanungin. At tama yung tanong ko sa iyo, nangyari rin yan, na mag-i-expire yung iba, dumating, hindi rin. Katulad din nangyayari, dumating yung inspection, dumating yung mga face mask doon sa Parmaline, face shield, pinapalitan naman yung expiration date. So talagang sunod-sunod lang. Talagang naglubid ng sinungaling itong kontrata na ito. Lahat itong nangyari dito, talagang mahabang lubid para mapahirapan ang bayan natin. Puro kasinungalingan. Thank you very much. I will now call on Senator Dillon. Are you okay, Pablo?
Senator Lacson, are you good?
Senator Lacson.
Sorry, Ping. I didn't see you. Senator Ping? Go ahead. You're recognized, sir. Nakamute ka, Senator Ping.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me help out. I-backtrack natin yung bakit napakaraming face mask at saka mga medical supplies na dumating. Okay. I'd like to ask si Ms. Twinkle Dargani, na-mention niya na yung si Jeffrey Manalo, accountant nila. Is that correct? She identified Jeffrey Manalo as the accountant of Parmaline a while ago or earlier.
Mariano, Ping. Mariano. Senator Ping. Mariano.
Yeah, Mariano. Jeffrey Manalo or Jeffrey Mariano?
Mariano.
Mariano, okay. Now, yung sa listahan natin ng mga nakapag-supply sa PSDBM, 45 lahat yan. Ang biggest supplier, Parmaline, topping the list with 26.39% of all the supplies. Now, meron mga nakapag-import ng mga medical supplies, face masks, face shields, PPEs, na hindi nakasama sa listahan. And I'd like to identify them as One Link Trading. One Link Trading, AGNA, General Merchandise, and Flexi Drive Hardware Trading. Yung volume nila, masyado malaki, Mr. Chairman. Now, yung broker nito, yung customs brokerage, above year. Ang customs broker, yung Jeffrey Manalo. I don't know if this is the same person, but never mind, Mr. Chairman. Yun ang customs broker. Now, One Link, ang volume niya from March 17, ito yung nag-broker dito sa mga, from 17 March 2020 to 30 March 2020, it imported 4,679 cartons of face masks of different brands. Ang laman ng isang carton, reportedly 100 boxes. Ang laman ng isang box, 100. So, kung 4,679 cartons times 100 boxes, that's 467,900. And if there are 100 pieces in one box, that's 46,790,000 face masks. So, available ang supply as of 17 March 2020. So hindi po tama yung sinasabi na may scarcity of supply ng face mask. Kaya mabilis nga nakapag-deliver yung Parmaline. Diba, March 25, nag-usap sila na March 24, one-on-one, Mr. Lincoln Ong and Attorney Lau. And then March 25, nandyan yung delivery. In fact, Attorney Lau, sabi niya, nasyak siya. Balikan natin yung TSN. Ang sabi niya, nasyak siya dahil nakapagdala ka agad. And in fact, he mentioned and he told Lincoln Ong or whoever represented Parmalee at that time na hindi namin bibili niyan or hindi namin babayaran. But just the same, instead of just paying 8 million pesos worth doon sa face mask na diniliver, umabot pa ng 13.82 million pesos. Yun ang unang delivery. I think this is the 500,000 pieces of face mask. Now, ang tanong dito is, bakit kine-claim na walang very scarce yung supply kung napakaraming dumating between March 17 and March 30 of 2020? Ang bilangan natin, 46 million. So katakot-takot ang supply. Now, we'd like to find out from the Bureau of Customs. Baka pwedeng bigyan tayo ng kanilang listahan ng lahat ng supplies, yung related dito, from March 2020 to present. Para makita lang natin yung volume na dumating at kung sino-sino yung mga importers. And I understand that a certain James Tan, who is allegedly the operations man of Michael Yang, ito yung nagpaparating, ito yung importer, making use of the services of Papa Beer, because ang nakapirma nga doon sa Papa Beer brokerage, yung si Jeffrey Manalo. So ito yung ikot ng supply ng mga face mask, face shields. So, and starting June 2020, dito na yung sariling import na yung Parmalee. And I heard, I was informed, na dito medyo nagkaroon ng problema yung transaction between Parmalee and Mr. Michael Yang. Because, kasi nga, medyo malaki yung markup dito sa pagsusupply ng mga medical supplies, especially yung face mask and face shields, from through the courtesy of Michael Yang to Parmalee. So, yun, Mr. Chairman, we'd like to get the records from the Bureau of Customs, yung list of all importers of face masks, face shields, PPEs, and other medical supplies from March 2020 to present. And then, balikan ko rin yung warehouse doon sa Parañaque. I recall, nag-request tayo ng record ng warehouse kasi kailangan niya naka-register sa BIR. Hanggang ngayon parang hindi pa yata nasasubmit, Mr. Chairman.
That's correct. Before you continue, Senator Lacson,
Yes.
ordered yung request ni Senator Lacson to the Director General, to the subpoena, all these records.
Yes, Your Honor.
Was particularly coming from China as well. Particularly
Yes,
coming
Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
from a certain period, period that we're investigating.
Yes,
But
Your
the
Honor.
warehouse, I don't know if the warehouse man presented by Senator Risa was referring to the Parañaque warehouse, but this was already admitted by Mr. Lincoln O. And I was asking for the records, the registration records, BIR, Parañaque, kasi yun ang branch nila doon. Because, di ba yung warehouse, they're conducting sales, and so they must have invoices, delivery receipts, official receipts, doon so nanggagaling sa Parañaque warehouse. Hanggang ngayon, I think that was the second hearing that I asked for the records. And until now, hindi pa rin nasasabit. So yun yung mga utang na gusto ko lamang singilin, Mr. Chairman. Plus, we received a letter from the DOH because I was also asking for the report on the overpriced, supposed to be overpriced ambulances, Mr. Chairman. 841 units of ambulance vehicles fully equipped ng medical equipment, yung tinatawag nilang BLS. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman?
What is the status of this request? I know that we have some of the documents already.
Your Honor.
At least, kulang-kulang ang pinapadala. Pati kami na bibitin kaya nahihirapan kami. You know, you can imagine the voluminous documents that are coming in, and we have to do them one by one practically, but kulang-kulang. So the chair would like to caution Farmally et al., the DOH, as well as the customs and all the other, people people that are supposed to give us the information, dapat nakaayos, naka-file na, naka-matrix na kung maaari nga eh. Pero, di bale, we need to get them done. Can you see to it, Director General Kimbo?
Yes, Your Honor. Insofar as the DOH request was concerned on the ambulant, I think they wrote a letter either yesterday or the other day seeking an extension of time to finish the inventory and the report, Your Honor.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify one point raised by Senping.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just to specify po, si witness po natin, nandun po sa warehouse repacking the face shields located po sa Pasig, hindi po sa Parañaque. So magkakaibang warehouse sila, each for different products. For the record, Mr. Chairman. Salamat po.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, di ba dapat registered sa BIR yan or sa customs? It's a bonded warehouse, customs, di ba? And BIR, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe ask the right agency, Director Kimbo, to find out whether these are registered.
Your Honor.
Commissioner Guerrero?
Yes, Sir Chairman, yes, Your Honor. It's not a bonded warehouse, Your Honor.
It is not a bonded warehouse.
Yes, Your Honor.
So it doesn't have to be registered?
If it's an ordinary warehouse, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if that's an ordinary warehouse, it should be registered with the BIR.
Yes, that's what I said earlier. Either both or either one, and I wanted to be corrected, and thank you for the information. Introduction. The BIR is here. Mr. Commissioner Dulay, Mr. Commissioner Dulay, Chairman Dulay. Commissioner Cesar Dulay. Let's make the communication, shall we, Senator, Director General Kimbo? Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, okay. Let me call Senator Tolentino now, if I may. He had earlier texted me that he was not going to interpolate. He will do that at the next hearing. In the meantime, while we're waiting for Senator Tolentino, I'd like to have formally provide us with a list of all their warehouses, because dumadami yung warehouses, hindi natin malaman kung talagang, at saka yung contracts kung kailan yung nahiram yung warehouse na yan, and their exact addresses, and the complement in the warehouses. Who are the people working in these warehouses? Can you see to it, among other information, Director General Kimbo?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Okay, Senator Trilon, you have a question?
Yes. Mr. Lincoln Ong has been quiet for the last several hours. Maybe I'll ask him a question. Mr. Ong, you have heard the testimony this afternoon and in previous days. No matter what you say, nobody will believe that you could have funded all of these sales and deliveries to PSDBM on your own, given the lack of financial capacity of your family. So once more, I ask you, who helped you in the financial aspect of your operations, particularly on the importations of the supplies?
Mr. Chairman, pagdating dun sa PPE and then the BGI, it's Mr. Yang.
It's Mr. Yang who assisted you financially. Is that okay? Having said that already, how much did he deliver to you, or give to you, or loan to you, whatever form that enabled you to fulfill your obligations under the purchase agreements?
Mr. Chairman, as I mentioned in several hearings already, we have signed an NDA with Mr. Yang, and then I have to invoke my right against self-incrimination.
Is that non-disclosure agreement notarized and signed? I assume.
Signed, yes po, signed.
Notarized?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? It could have been executed last week, right?
Your Honor, I have to invoke my right against self-incrimination.
Tinatanong lang kita kung kailan pinirmahan yan, what is so incriminating about that? Anyway, can you produce this non-disclosure agreement which you signed probably last week?
Yesterday.
Or yesterday? Oh, I'm sorry.
Your Honor, I'm detained, and then I don't have communication outside because my phone is confiscated.
So how does... Anyway, so where is who holds this non-disclosure agreement?
I think our company holds it. Yes.
Your company holds it. Who in your company should we ask for a copy?
Probably. Okay. I have to. Maybe I can talk to my people, to my partners about it.
Can you stop talking in terms of process or what? Can you start being specific, Mr. Ong? Name.
Mr. Huang?
Mr. Who? Mr. Wang?
Mr. Huang? Yes.
Huh? Singapore, no? Mr. Wang Rao, not Singapore.
You know, Mr. Ong, ako mo medyo matagal na rin. Matagal na rin kaming abogado at nagkakaroon ng konting eksperyensya makipag-usap sa mga testigo. Ngayon, sinasabi mo, bigla na lang may non-disclosure agreement. Alright, kailan mo pinirmahan, hindi mo masagot. Notarized ba ito? Hindi mo masabi. So, talagang, ito ba'y sabi ng inyong abogado to invoke the non-disclosure agreement?
Mr. Chairman, there's a non-disclosure clause in the agreement.
So you're not supposed to disclose the non-disclosure agreement. Ganun po ba yun?
Okay, I have to seek the comment of the counsel. I'm not a lawyer.
Alam ko, hindi naman kailangan ng abogado. Ang tanong ko sa iyo, you are invoking the non-closure agreement, which up to now you have not produced, we have not seen. It is, you are even claiming it's a private document, it is not notarized. Of course, it cannot be notarized because you executed it probably 2-3 days ago. Ha? Hindi po ba?
I deny that, Mr. Chairman.
Kailan nyo pinirmahan ito?
I don't recall, Mr. Chairman.
You don't recall. But why were you so quick? But you know that this is in existence.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
When did you know it was in existence?
Mr. Chairman, matagal na po yung agreement na yan. As I mentioned during the previous hearings, we have this kind of document. It's like a gentleman's agreement pa nga. I mentioned that already.
No, you never mentioned a non-disclosure agreement. You just mentioned secret. And,
there's an ND clause in the
it's been very, very evasive. You don't answer specifically. Natin, biglang lalabas sa yung pangalan.
Anyway, sige. So, because you refuse to answer questions which are not even incriminating, I think there is basis to continue putting you on detention because that is the rule enunciated by the Supreme Court. Your refusal to answer obstructs the ability of this committee to perform its work. I hope you understand that. Your continued refusal to answer even a question on when you signed the non-disclosure agreement or on how much Michael Young assisted you financially, which you've admitted. You've admitted that Michael Young assisted you, your company, in fulfilling your financial obligation on these contracts. You after admitted that, you refused to state the amount. So that is really a classic example of the need of this committee to exercise its power to detain you until you answer our questions. That is, you ask your lawyer, but that is why, that is your own lookout if you continue to refuse answering our questions. Even on questions of the non-disclosure agreement, you say something and then you clap up when you realize that your answers could put you into troubles. So anyway, Mr. Chairman, I think we should continue to detain Mr. Ong until he allows us to perform our functions as a committee by answering our questions that we have raised to him, questions which he has already answered partially, but would refuse to complete the answer. Particularly, he admitted that Michael Young helped them financially, but when we ask him how much was the financial help, ayaw na niyang sabihin. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman, just to put that on record.
Sige, meron siyang sinabi dito kay Senator Lacson, and I know Senator Lacson is listening, when asked what kind of agreement do you have with Mr. Yang. Mr. Ong said, hindi ko po talaga maalala noon ng mga specific content na yan. Chairman, sana po maintindihan nyo na kami po sa community namin minsan, totoo po yan. Ewan ko kung anong sinasabi ng community. Pagka minsan may mga transaction kami na minsan verbal talaga. Negosyante lang po. Ano yung sinasabi ng NDA?
Meron pong NDA clause sa agreement namin ni Mr. Yang. Mr. Chairman.
Sabi mo, yung mga, hindi ko maalala yung mga specific content. You know, basahin mo. What kind of agreement did you have, Mr. Yang? Eh, dapat sinabi mo, I have an NDA with Mr. Yang. Talaga tutusin. Bisado mo ngayon, di ba? Ang sinagot mo, hindi ko po talaga maalala noon. Ngayon na, naalala mo na ngayon. Nung mga specific content na yan, nung nilalaman ng content na yan sa Tagalog, Chairman, ba't sana po maintindihan nyo na kami po sa community? Anong community yan? Ano yung sinasabi niyong community? The community of the gang?
Chinese community po, Mr. Chairman.
Namin misa, ano yan? Ano yung community? Ano yan?
Chinese community po, Mr. Chairman.
You're Filipino, by the way?
Yes po.
Where were you born?
Pangasinan po.
Pangasinan. Alright. You started your life here, right? Where did you study?
Sa college, De La Salle University.
De La Salle. High school?
Uno High School, tapos naglipat ako ng Chiang Kai-shek.
Sorry?
Sa Uno High School, tapos naglipat ako ng Chiang Kai-shek.
Senator Ping, let me just go, paano ka nagkaroon ng tatlong kotse na mamahalin?
Mr. Chairman, it's a
mathematics. Anong kotse yun? Ito. Porsche Cayenne. Lexus. July 9, 2021. Porsche Carrera. February 2, 2021. Katas yung formally yan, di ba? Katas yung mga nabili nyo na naibenta nyo. Ayan, no? Ayan yung LTO. Ilan taon ka na?
33.
33. Saan ka tumama ng sweepstakes? O saan ka tumama ng popo? O saan ka tumama ng wedding? Ang ganyang kalalaki ang pera mo. Ano ba negosyo mo talaga dati?
Mr. Chairman, about sa money matters, my counsel advised me to invoke my right against self-incrimination.
I remind you of Article 150 of the Revised Penal Code. Pwede ko hingin lahat yung records mo. At pag hindi mo binigay, you're liable to face criminal charges. But on the other hand, pag ayaw mo sumagot, ibig sabihin, you're guilty of something. Nagtatago ka. Ano masama doon? Ano ba ang negosyo mo dati sa totoo lang?
Mr. Chairman, before the family thing happened, I'm a translator of Mr. Yang.
Translator? Ang laki ng sweldo ng boss mo. Translator? Ano yan, per word? $1,000 per word? Ano pa? Bago yung translator, anong trabaho mo?
We have
Classmates in Lasal, you know. Marami kang kaklase, kilala ko.
Mr. Chairman, ano po yun?
Hindi, paano ka nagkaroon ng ganyan kalalaking kotse na mamahalin?
Mr. Chairman, recent purchase po yun. Recent purchase.
Recent purchase. So, galing sa kinita mo dito sa Parmalee.
Mr. Chairman,
July 2021. Lexus yung isa. February 2, 2021. Tama?
Yes po, Mr. Chairman.
So, galing sa kinita ninyo. So, malaking kinita nyo talaga. Tumama kayo. Tama?
I invoke my right against self-incrimination, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that's good. Habang naghihirap ang mga Pilipino, nakakabili ka ng magandang kotse, hindi tayo makakuha ng mga hospital, hindi tayo makagawa ng mga vaccine, hindi tayo makapagbigay ng ayuda. Pero kayo, okay lang kayo, papito-pito kayo doon sa kotse. Ito nga ang litrato ng kotse. Bira ako makakita niyan para makilala ko kung masalubong ko to. May Porsche na maganda, Carrera. So, anong negosyo mo? Wala na, yun lang.
Yun lang po, Mr. Chairman. Nagtrabaho ako sa translator.
Translator lang. Ano ba ang salita mo? Hokkien kay Mr. Yang o Mandarin?
Both po, Mr. Chairman.
Ha?
Both. Hokkien and Mandarin.
Ang tatay mo at nanay mo parehong Chinese?
Tatay ko Pilipino.
Tatay mo Pilipino? Naging naturalized or
I don't know, Mr. Chairman.
Pareho kayo ni Mr. Wang na hindi nyo alam kung anong circumstances sa tatay mo? Ako, tatay ko, pinanganak Amerikano pero pinili niya mag-Pilipino. Alam ko yun. And I'm very proud of him. Hindi mo alam kung ang tatay mo pinanganak na Chinese na pinili niya mag-Pilipino.
I really don't know, Mr. Chairman.
Sige. Senator Ping, go ahead please. I'm sorry, Senator Ping. I just had to pursue.
Yeah, I'm asking Attorney Gordon, Attorney Trilog, and Attorney Pangilinan to kindly educate this representation. Alam nyo, in-invoke niya yung community, ang ibig sabihin, and I heard this from him during my questioning, I think during the second hearing, Chinese style. Ang tanong ko po, Mr. Chairman, pwede mo yung Chinese style, kung government funds, kung private transaction nila, wala tayong pakialam. Mag-Chinese style sila, for all we care, diba? Pero government funds in the billions of pesos ang import, and yet, this guy is invoking non-disclosure agreement, is invoking right against self-incrimination, and invoking Chinese style transaction. How would that be? Can you educate me, Mr. Chairman? I'm confused. Either Attorney Gordon, Attorney Trilog, or Attorney Pangilinan, kindly educate me in this regard.
Hindi mo paliwanag yun.
Government funds.
Hindi.
Paano yun?
Sir,
Yes.
sir,
To simplify it,
Yeah.
uh,
Again,
kahit sabihin mo private fund, lalo na ito, government fund ang involved, hindi mo pwedeng involve. May public interest dyan na dapat malaman natin kung anong pinanggalingan ng pera mo at ito sinasabi niya, he will be protected by Article 3 of the Constitution, which is the Bill of Rights. May limitations lahat yan. And I think that he will know when we start making the report what the conscience of that is lying to the committee. That's why he's already under detention because of his evasiveness and his lying.
kasi lagi tayong putol, Mr. Chairman, di ba? Sabi ng Parmalee, doon sila kumuha sa Tiger Field kay Brother Tiger Brother. Yung Tiger Brother, yung Tiger Philippines, tinuro naman si Green Trends. Si Green Trends address.
Right.
And we can now see more or less the connection na yung kanilang supplies nanggaling sa one link. Kasi yun ang napakaraming na ipasok between March 17 and March 30. So, probably from one link to Green Trends, which is located in a fictitious address, napunta sa Tiger Field, and Tiger Field to Parmali. So, paikot-ikot ito, Mr. Chairman. Pero, halos sila rin yan eh.
Tama yung sinabi niya, Senator Lacson. Ito, translator ito ni Mr. Yang, nandun sa meeting sa Davao. Yan, nakikita mo doon sa beach, nandun yan, nakikita mo sa Malacanang, kasama ang presidente, kasama si Mr. Yang. Siya ay nakikita sa Malacanang, tatlo sila ng presidente, katulad si Mr. Yang. Napaka-influensya ni Mr. Yang. Tapos, sasabihin niya, panay pawang kasinungalingan. Diba, sinabi niya, na hindi raw siya, inkomunikado raw siya. It is not true. Ito, sabi ni General Samonte, ang text sa akin, it is not true that Lincoln Ong doesn't have contact outside. He has been talking to his wife and lawyer through sa phone since Monday when he surrendered his personal phone for safekeeping. Pinatabi niya yung telepono niya for safekeeping. Siguro, mamahalin rin yun. Ito sabi ni General Samonte ng usaha. So, hindi totoo na inkomunikado ka, na pinagbabawalan ka. Kasi, alam mo, Lincoln, I recommended Pasay, but I changed my mind with the permission of my co-members because natatakot ako para sa buhay mo. Because nagalit sa'yo si Mr. Yang, ikaw ang nagbunyag kay Mr. Yang eh. Nung kasinungalingan ni Mr. Yang, di ba? Sabi ni Mr. Yang, wala siyang connection sa inyo. Nung binunyag mo yung pangalan niya, nataranta na lahat, pati si Mr. Wang. Sabi niya, totoo yan, nagpapautang si Mr. Yang. So, tama yung sinabi ni Senator Lacson, na dikit-dikit kayo, pare-pareho yung mga sinungaling na ginagawa ninyo. Kaya, gas-gas na yung mga style ninyo.
Sir,
Yes, Senator Pangilinan?
I will try to answer some of the points raised by Senator Lacson. Yung Chinese style, alam ko, naririnig ko yan sa pagluluto ng pagkain sa Chinese restaurant. Yun. Pero, siguro ang ibig sabihin ho nun, hindi naman ho natin nilalahat kasi alam natin maraming mga Chinese na Filipino-Chinese na mahusay, may integridad, talagang nagko-contribute sa magandang ekonomiya ng ating bansa, nagbibigay ng trabaho. Pero baka yung Chinese style na sinasabi ni Mr. Ong yung lutong Macau. For the record, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, I'm about to, in fact, cross-examine with the permission of everyone. I really didn't intend to cross-examine today or kaya lang, pipilitan lang ako. Gusto ko lang tanungin ang sino ba tatanungin ko dito? PSDBM, no? Si Attorney Leong. Mr. Leong, are you there, sir?
I'm here, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. I am going to show you a document na lumabas yan, namili kayo ng 54 million pesos worth of face mask. Ano po? Ano ha?
Hindi ko pa po nakikita, Mr. Chairman.
Hindi, papakita ko sa inyo. Sasabihin ko muna sa inyo para hindi tayo magkalituan. Ang quantity, 2.4 million pieces. At pakita niya actual document. Ayan yung document. Lakyan mo nga ng konti. Ayan. Request for price quotation, canvas, request for price quotation, canvas form. At ito yung lumabas sa PhilJets. Nakikita niyo ba? Kalagay sa PhilJets, ang bibili nyo ay lumalabas dito ay ang Cosmic 2250, ang Parmalee 2250, at ang Ashton 2250. Ang recommended price is 2250 for surgical mask. Can you see it?
I'm looking at it, Your Honor. I'm trying to read it. Medyo maliit lang po. I'm trying to recall this one.
Alright. The
15.
point here is, I'm sorry to say this, no? Ang lumabas dito, ito mo yan. Ang lumabas kasi dito, sir, is Farmally Bid 2250, subject or market survey report of PSDBM with 2,400,000 stocks on hand. Ano po? Ay,
Yes,
April 15 yun. April 13 yung bid na yun. 2250. On April 14, 2020, nagpadala kayo ng purchase order to Farmally. And the supposed bid of other companies, Cosmic Technologies and Ashton, used in the price monitor market survey were both dated a day after the purchase order to Farmally. In other words, paano lumalabas dito? Binenta nyo kaagad yung purchase order ng April 14, nabenta nyo binigay nyo na yung purchase order sa Farmally. Tapos na parang afterthought, lumabas April 15, pareho ang presyo na binigay sa Farmally. Di ba parang minamanipulate yung purchase order at saka yung tinatawag natin market survey? Di ba?
Hindi naman po, Mr. Chairman. Kasi sa market survey po, Mr. Chairman, first of all, we are actually allowed to directly negotiate. Pero hindi nga po yun yung ginagawa agad ni PSDBM. Kasi gusto rin namin i-check po yung market situation. So, sa market survey po,
So, hindi totoo na talaga nagmamadali kayo, nakarakan. Meron ba kayong time mag-market survey?
Kahit po...
Tapos dito nung kasama ninyo, nasa Mr. Lau, na sinasabi niya, nagmamadali kami, wala nang oras eh.
Nagmamadali po, Mr. Chairman, kaya nga po yung sabi po nila, nakakapag-procure po tayo na ilang araw lang po. Hindi po kasing tagal ng negotiated procurement under emergency cases po. We still check po, Mr. Chairman, yung ating historical price data, yung presyo sa ibang agencies kung meron po, at saka yung RFQ po natin kung kakayanin po. Opo.
Okay, let me show you this. Pero in-award ito sa Farmally ng April 14.
Okay.
Market survey kayo sa iba on April 15. Paano nangyari yun?
I'm trying to take a look at the document, Mr. Chairman, kasi...
Ayan na, malinaw na yan. No? Date April 14, purchase order, in-award sa kanila. Pero April 15, para kung kunyari sa scrutiny, public scrutiny, lumabas sa inyo na nag-market survey lang kayo noong April 15. The horse is already out of the barn. Pakalabas na yung kabayo sa barn. Ibig sabihin kunyari na lang nagpa-market survey kayo, tapos lumabas ang nanalo Farmally, April 14.
Hindi po yan siya ganyan, Mr. Chairman. I'm sure may explanation yan. Hindi ko lang maitanong ngayon. Maybe if someone else explains the documents, then maybe I can explain better po. Pero
okay. Let me gonna go to another point here. Ang punto ko dito na mamanipulate kasi. Ito naman, ang iba naman ang nangyari dito. 20 April, face mask. Ito, malaki-laki ito. Sir, 220 million. Ito naman ang nangyari dito. Kunyari, nag-negotiated bid kayo, purchase order muli sa Farmally. No?
Ano po ulit ito, Mr. Chairman, para makafollow?
Purchase order to Farmally for face masks.
Face mask.
Ayan. Ang lumabas dito, 10 million stocks. Malaki-laki ito. 10 million stocks, alright?
Okay.
To justify the award to Farmally, a price monitor and market survey report showing that the two other companies who bid the same supply contract offered at a more expensive price by 50 centavos and were non-complying, no stocks on hand based on previous offer. Ang problema, cheaper kunyari ng 50 centavos. Pero nung review namin yung bid proposal of the two other companies, it would reveal that there were exactly the same documents dated 15 April 2020.
Ang ibig sabihin po,
sinabi, already used in the previous purchase order para i-justify yung award sa Farmally. Ginamit yung lumang dokumento, pero si Farmally, bago na naman dokumento sa kanya napunta yung presyo, yung award. Ang ibig sabihin po niyan, Mr. Chairman, kung ganun po talaga yung, again, I'm just reading it right now very quickly. Pero kung ganun po talaga ang nangyari, Mr. Chairman, ibig sabihin that our staff used historical data po. Historical, allowed naman po yun siya ng even by the IRR which was later released by GPPB sa 1-2020, allowed po yung historical data, Mr. Chairman. So yan po ang explanation po nun. It was only the big document of Farmally which was a new submission. Yun ang kakaibahan. Alam ko sasabihin mo yun. Yung big document of Farmally which was a new submission, yun lang. Ang ginamit yung historical data, yung dalawa. Ito lang ang malinaw na pinagbibigyan ninyo ang Farmally. Nakalagay ang pirma nyo dyan sa baba. Prepared by Jerilyn Vergara, reviewed by Warren Leong, kayo po yun, and approved by Lloyd Lau. Hindi naman po pinagbibigyan, Mr. Chair. Naghahanap lang po talaga tayo ng supply nung mga panahon na po na yan. And as you can see po, Mr. Chairman, after this one, if I remember it correctly, we entered into a contract with EMS para nga po hindi na tayo maghanap kung saan-saan po. And that is I think that's the contract that we entered with EMS po. If I remember EMS, binabaan niyo yung presyo later on. Much later on. Pero tingnan natin. Senator Lacson, did you have a question, sir? You're on mute, sir. Nakamute kayo. Senator Lacson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let us not forget, Mr. Chairman, na nag-market survey sila ng April 20 or April 15.
Sa una.
Mr. Chairman, let us not forget na nag-deliver na yung Farmally ng March 25, exactly at 5:19 p.m.
Your Honor, Mr. Chairman, if I may po.
Excuse me, for a while. Kung nag-market survey sila ng April, nag-deliver na yung Farmally ng March 25. Tapos April 15, binayaran na sila ng 13.86 million by PSDBM. So parang nahuli nga, sabi nyo nga, lumabas na yung kabayo sa bar. Mag-market survey ka ng, what date is that? April 20 or April 15? Nagbayad na nga
April 15.
Nagbayad na nga binayaran na nga yung Farmally ng 13.86 million noong April 15. After yung PO nga, lumabas April 6 eh. Tapos nag-deliver ng March 25. Let us not forget that, Mr. Chairman.
Duly noted with appreciation. In fact, Senator Lux, ito pinag-uusapan dito. Bukod doon, iba pa yon.
Yes.
Ito panibago na naman to. April 14, binigay na nila, tapos kunyari nagpa-market survey the day after. Sulusot ang Farmally.
Yeah, that is correct, Mr. Chairman. Kasi as early as March 25, nag-deliver na eh.
Oo. Mr. Chairman, if I may po. Yes, Mr. Leong. Opo. I think na mix up, iba po yung procurement na sinasabi, Mr. Chairman, ni Honorable Senator Lacson. I already stated that. Sabi ko kay Senator Lacson, yun ang una. Ito, pangalawa na ito at pangatlo. Sinabi ko na yun. That's correct. Yun yung po yung una. Pero ang malinaw, yung una, yun na yun. So may historical data. Kung sasabihin mo historical data. Pero ang ginamit yung historical data sa pangatlo, yung historical data sa pangalawa, pero pinagbigyan nyo ang Farmally, baguhin yung presyo para by 50 centavos panalo sila. Hindi po ganun, Mr. Chairman. Allowed po tayo maggamit ng historical data. I think the practice is... Hindi kayo allowed. Ang sinasabi ko, you use historical data. You cherry-pick the historical data. Pinipili nyo lang yung makakasundo doon sa binabalak na ibigay sa Farmally. Let's go to another contract. Kung ayaw mo yan, lilipat tayo sa ibang kontrata na naman. 8 yan eh. Pare-pareho ang modus operandi. Ayan. Ito naman ngayon, 21 April, BGI, real-time, RT-PCR kit. Ang lumalabas dito, ang Farmally bid ay 75,000 pesos. At ang nagbid dito, Farmally not included in the price analysis report. Farmally bid indicated with delivery 7 calendar days after issuance of the PO. 600 million pesos po ito, no? A review of the bid proposals revealed that another company, MON-THU Medical Resources, offered exactly the same bid price as Farmally, 75,000 pesos on the same day. But PSDBM awarded the contract to Farmally. Paano ginastify yun? Justify the award to Farmally. Another price analysis report was prepared, which now included the bid of Farmally, with indication that delivery by Farmally would be 7 calendar days. After the issuance of the purchase order, or the bid delivery of the other company, MON-THU Medical Resources, was written as not indicated. Siyempre, ibibigay sa Farmally. There are 7 days, yung isa wala. So, on a flimsy excuse, lusog kagad na naman ang Farmally. Nakakapagtaka, kaya yan ang sinasabi namin eh. Talagang pinaburan nyo yung Farmally. Mahirap paliwanag yan, Mr. Leong.
Hindi naman po. May I go to the previous slide po, Mr. Chairman? May I see it? I wasn't able to read it po.
Sige. Hindi naman ako nag-focus dito eh. The documents, as you know, speak
No. The operator, please, the previous slide.
Alin, yung 200 million o yung 600 million? Ano?
Yung ABC po. Kasi if I read it correctly, the price analysis po yung prior slide na wala si Farmally. That's for purposes of hindi ko po makita. Pero I will answer it based on memory nung na-glance ko po. That's for purposes of setting po the ABC. Again, si PSDBM po, medyo po conservative sa ABC. Although that step is not needed na, they follow it still, and then they set it doon po sa lowest na price. If you ask the other agencies po, iba-iba po yung practice nila when setting yung ABC po. Some put it at the lowest, some put it on the average. Si PS po, nandun po siya sa lowest. Again po, honorable senators, we are in Bayanihan 1. Itong step na po itong ginagamit namin, it's actually negotiated procurement under emergency cases. So we don't even have to undergo po ito, Your Honors. Pero we still do kasi we want to document it as much as possible for transparency purposes po. Doon po sa sinabi ninyong award, malamang po nagkaibahan doon sa delivery. But I'm answering right now based on the document I saw. So it would appear na baka si Farmally yung mas mabilis po yung delivery, at least doon sa negotiation po. So that's why what we're trying to say is we are being asked for documentation na negotiated procurement po, Your Honors. Hindi po yun si Bayanihan eh. Iba po yung sistema ni Bayanihan. Kaya medyo po maraming mga tanong na nako-confuse po ang Honorable Senate po.
Hindi ako nako-confuse. Malinaw sa akin eh. Ito, yung sinasabi mo, 2 price analysis reports. Pakita nyo nga yan. I don't want to be unfair. 2 price analysis reports. Ayan. Formally not included in the first price analysis report.
That's for the ABC po, Your Honor. Yes, that's correct po. Even if you're not included in...
Salta na kita kanina eh. Papaliwanag ko lang eh. Sinasabi ko lang kung paano nangyari eh. Para malinaw na malinaw sa tao. Hindi kasama yung Formally dyan sana in the first price analysis report. Tapos, nireview namin, no? Formally, ang bid nila indicated with delivery 7 calendar days after issuance of the PO. So nakalamang sila doon. Dahil yung isa, nilalabas niyo, wala silang sinabi. Kaya lumabas, another price analysis report was prepared, which now included the bid of Formally, with the indication that delivery by Formally would be 7 calendar days after the issuance of the purchase order, while the bid delivery of the other company, MON-THU Medical Resources, was written as not indication. As not indicated. So lumalabas, lamang ang Formally na naman. Nilagay lang ng delivery within 7 days. 7 days, no? Ayun. Delivery 7 calendar days after the issuance. That little phrase, delivery after 7 days, napaboran na sila. Okay? Maybe you were talking about 2 different things. You keep talking about Bayanihan. Bayanihan never suspended justice and fairness at saka yung technical financial at saka legal. Ito nakikita ito ang pumapasok na dito. Nasa ombudsman ka ngayon, yung talagang mukhang hindi fair at talagang may advantage, undue advantage dito na binibigay. At tingnan natin ngayon na susunod. Susunod. 8 ito Mr. Leong, no? Hirap pa. In 23, April 2020, Star Fortitude, ito na. RT-PCR, 688 million. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na nag-offer sa amin ang Singapore at sinasabi kanina ni Mr. Lau, hindi sila nagpunta ron. Ang totoo, nagpunta kayo doon sa Indonesia, formerly Indonesia. Quantity, 2,000. Ayan, RT-PCR kits. Ang price ng Star Fortitude, 3,344,000 at total 688 million pesos. No? 2 price analysis reports prepared by PSDBM. First, Arbali, not included in the first price analysis. Hindi na naman sila kasali. Ayan. Take note that Biosite Medical Instruments price is at 380,000 pesos. Ayun yung kabila. Alright? Ngayon, ano nangyari naman ngayon? To justify the award to Farbali, another price analysis report, paano kayo nakakabigla ng price analysis report, was prepared na ngayon, included na bid ng Farbali with the indication that delivery by Farbali would be on or before May 1, 2020. The bid submitted by another company, Biosite Medical Instruments, is reflected in the second price analysis report with Farbali as higher 400,000 pesos than the actual bid submitted of 380,000 pesos. 2 different price analysis reports prepared by PSDBM prepared by Paul Jasper de Guzman, reviewed by Warren Leong, kayo po yun, and approved by Lloyd Lau. Ibig sabihin, nabiyayaan na naman ang Farbali. Di ba kayo nagtataka, Mr. Leong? You're a good lawyer, I hear. Inasunod-sunod na yan. Kunyari, nagkakaroon kayo ng 2 price surveys.
Your Honor,
Surveys, nagbabago.
if I may explain po, Mr. Chairman.
Of course.
The first one is for purposes of. Can I take a look again at the previous slide?
Ito mo.
I'm trying to recall if this is the same, if this pertains to the same product, Your Honor. But if it is, we make a survey kasi, Mr. Chairman, para malaman po namin kung ano yung prices available before we do the actual procurement.
That is the purpose of the survey. Even I know that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So, when we send requests for offers na po, during this period, I think this is around, I don't see the date, this is one of our first procurements, probably around April. We didn't know where to go.
Okay, 23 April.
Okay, it's on the top. I'm sorry about that. So, we didn't know where to go to pa, Mr. Chairman. That is why, when we were told thereafter na where we can go to, where we can buy, after April, makikita nyo po, bumababa po yung prices, Mr. Chairman.
Siyempre naman, Attorney Leong, bababa yan dahil dumadami na ang supplier dumadami na ang supply.
And nakapunta na po tayo, Mr. Chairman, directly.
Iba yan. Don't say something na parang Sancho Panzaism yan na parang sasabihin, bababa. Talagang bababa yan. Pero at that time, nagbid lahat. Ito, bakit tumaas yung presyo ng Biosite sa second price analysis? At ang Farbali ay nasa higher than the actual bid submitted na 380,000.
I cannot say that, Your Honor, because I can only speak based on the record po. So probably, iyan yung po yung offer nila when we ask for the final offer po nila, Mr. Chairman. I can only answer based on the record po.
Mr. Leong, na dahil negotiated dyan mabilis. Talagang pag gabi gusto ko ipanalo, papalitan nyo lang yung offer, panalo na yan.
Hindi po, Mr. Chairman, hindi po.
Kung pwede. Hypothetical question.
No, Mr. Chairman, we
Kung mga salbahe na andon, wag na ikaw. Kung mga salbahe na andon, talagang may kakampi ka, iuurong mo lang ng konti para makalamang ng konti, sa kanya papalo yung bid.
Pero that was not the intention po, Mr. Chairman, Honorable Senators.
Di ba, in law we say,
that is why we insisted on inserting market price analysis even at that time na wala pa po yung IRR ni GPPB. Because you have to understand, Mr. Chairman, and ito yung hindi na-explain eh. From March 25 to April 12, wala pa po si 1-2020. Lumabas na po si Bayanihan 1.
Maintindihan yung 1-2020. Ano yan?
Ayan po yung sinasabi nila na IRR ni Bayanihan 1. So there was...
Nakalagay pa rin doon, yung sinabi ni Senator Lacson, at sinabi ko rin kanina, na kailangan pag-aaralan ang technical, legal, and financial capability, correct?
And we did, Mr. Chairman. I think E.D. Weng answered that in another hearing or forum. The legal, technical, and financial requirements, Your Honor, kahit belated na ilabas sa 1-2020, pertains po to the mayor's permit. Yan po yung legal. The ITR pertains to the financial.
Sinabi ko na yung legal, sinabi ko na yung technical, in-explain ko yung IRR, yung mayor's permit, at yung iba pa nakalagay doon. Pero, hindi natin maikakaila na parang nagkakaroon na naiuusog yung Parmali para manalo. At hindi ko naman tinidenay na nagkaroon ng market survey. Kaya lang, pag-alawang market survey, nung una wala yung Parmali. Pagdating na second market survey, panalo na ang Parmali. Then, inusog ng konti yung presyo.
Hindi naman po. Pero that is why, honorable senators, we are thankful that you are actually making this hearing so we can explain po. And if the intention is to make it tighter and stricter po, we can suggest legislation or we can go back to negotiated procurement under emergency cases. Kasi existing naman po siya, Mr. Chairman. Pero we could not procure as fast as you wanted us to, or the people wanted us to, using negotiated procurement po.
Well, I'm just showing you documents, and that is our take on it, and that's how, what else can anybody take? Na talagang tablak dati, nilagyan ng 7 days delivery, yung isa walang delivery, walang commitment, talo yung walang commitment. Tapos ito ngayon, ang sinabi naman dito ay nakalagay with the indication that delivery primary would be on or before May 1, 2020. Yung isa wala na naman, talo na naman sila. Diba? If ITR ang basihan ng financial capacity, ang ITR ng family ay 25,000 lamang. Paano naman yung magiging ITR na legal basis yun? Can you explain that? 625,000 pesos lang yung kanilang capital. Ang financial capability nila ay ilan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity po. Even under negotiated procurement po, Mr. Chairman, ganun na po yung requirement. Kaya nga kami, kahit doon sa Bayanihan 1 hindi nakasabi, we tried to follow po yung negotiated procurement. Wala pong nakalagay na minimum capitalization po doon. If you will read it very carefully.
Lawyer, sir. Ito, billion yan eh. Hindi kailangan yung capitalization.
That is why, Mr. Chairman, we're saying that if the Senate wants it required, it can be placed, it can be legislated po. And kaya nga, we're saying sa PSDBM po, we did not pay kung hindi po siya nakapag-deliver po.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Chairman. Yes. Is the defense of the DBMPS that the submission of documents to establish financial, technical, and legal capability is merely ministerial? Ibig sabihin dahil sinabit na yung ITR, sinabit na yung ganun na lang? Because yun ang mukhang mukhang ministerial lang eh. Basta nakasumite yung dokumento, we don't need to look at the further than the documents. And in fact, one of the documents, the ITR,
Walang zero yung income tax. Di ba? Zero. Andun nakalagay. And you required it. You required it in your communications. You asked them to submit it. Obviously, it's not just for submission purposes. You have to review it. You have to weigh it. You have to determine. You have to ask searching questions. Remember, hindi ba? Or you have to, raise searching questions to these suppliers to be able to ensure that they are in fact technically, legally, and financially capable. It's not a ministerial act.
Mr. Chairman.
Hindi naman kasi required, pero ito lang ang nire-require, sinabit naman nila, tapos ang boxing. I mean, yan ang excuse ng, kaya nagka-leche-leche. Diba? Babalikan ko, Mr. Chairman, yung normally, nag-deliver muna nung testing kits, tapos 3 buwan later, nag-deliver nung extraction kits na kailangan gamitin para doon sa testing kits. Dahil hindi din-determine yung kapasidad ng Parmali kung meron silang technical capacity. Forgive me, Mr. Chairman, pero apparently they're hewing on the same line as Mr. Lo, and I'm not surprised, Mr. Chairman. I'm not surprised.
Mr. Chairman, if I may answer.
Please.
Yeah. First, I think with respect to the delivery of the testing kits and the second delivery that was mentioned, it was already answered by PSDBM. We were merely asked to procure. Those were separate procurements po. So, second po, Mr. Chairman, with respect po doon sa ITR.
And that's the whole point. Ba't binigay sa inyo? Binigay na nga sa inyo kasi wala namang kayong capacity. Ngayon sinasabi nyo, kasi binigay lang sa amin. We were just asked, this whole transfer of the 42 billion is the first sin, let's put it this way. And everything else followed. You didn't have the capacity, you didn't have the skill, you didn't have the technological know-how, and yet you were the one negotiating. And then pag nagka-problema, ituturo nyo sa DOH. Ang DOH naman, pag may problema, ituturo sa inyo. Sorry, forgive me, Mr. Leong, but you're looking at the minutest details to be able to try to justify your incapacity and inability to have done your job properly because you didn't have the science behind it, you didn't have the skills behind it, you didn't have the training behind it. Saan ka nakakita? Bumili kayo napakarami, 6 months. Bilyong halaga. Saan ka nakakita? Tinanggap ninyo. Tinanggap ninyo. 2 buwan na lang mag-expire na, tinanggap pa rin ninyo. Ba't di ninyo ni-reject? So you can go into these technicalities, Mr. Leong, but the big picture does not your answers and your technicalities does not respond to what precisely has happened here, the big picture.
Go ahead, Mr. Leong.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will go back first to the legal, technical, and financial po. The ITR doesn't show the capitalization po, Mr. Chairman. We could have procured naman if the intention is to go into NFCC po, that's the capitalization, that's the net financial contracting capacity. We could do that with competitive bidding po. Nandun po siya, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Chairman. But tama ka. Pero kayo nang hingi nun eh. Dito sa bid document niyo, yung request niyo, nakalagay dyan, mayor's permit, legal, income tax return, number 3, net financial contracting capacity. Kayo humingi dyan.
I think
sila. Kayo nagbigay niyan.
I think that document, Your Honor, pertains to the first procurement of surgical masks po. Kasi if I'm
nagbabago kayo pagka
one po. Opo. So from there po, the USEC made the judgment call. Yan po yung may sinasabi po na supposed advance delivery. So we transitioned from negotiated procurement to Bayanihan 1. Now, on March 25, we didn't have an inkling that an IRR would be issued. Ang law pa lang po ang present noon, and it was very explicit. Exempted from 9184.
There's a law. You didn't have an inkling that an IRR would be issued.
Correct, Mr. Chairman, because it did not have a provision similar to RA 9184, Section 75 of 9184, stating that an IRR po
Negated by this law. Number 9184 is still required, diligence and that you undertake the procurement of the following as the need arises in the most expeditious manner as exemptions from the provisions on bidding process required under Republic Act 9184 and other relevant laws.
Correct, Mr. Chairman. That's the wording po. That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, with the permission of the Chairman.
Hindi naman tayo nagba-iba. Ang lang, sa implementation nagkakatalo. Na at the last moment, pagka nagkaroon kayo ng second survey, umaangat palagi formally. Hindi ka ba nagtataka doon? You look like a good man, all right?
Thank you for that, Mr. Chairman.
I mean what I say here, Look at it. Sunod-sunod, formally lahat ang nananalo. Ang lalaki ng kontrata. At ting mananalo, biglang may extra edge, may extra leg up. Yung isa, 7 days. Yung isa, wala. Talo sila. Wala silang 7 days. Yung isa, will deliver by a certain date. Talo na naman sila. Kaya makikita nyo, yung isa, ginamit yung lumang data. Sabihin mo, historical data. Marami pa ito. Meron pa akong 4. 4 pala yung napapakita ko. And you are supposed to be performing a fiduciary act for the people. You are in a position of trust na dapat pangalagaan nyo yung pera. You have to protect the people's interest here. Hindi ako nagle-lecture dito. Sinasabi ko lang yan. Ako, pag ginawa ko yung trabaho ko, iniisip ko, napuproteksyon ng bang tao dito o may nakakalamang sa tao. Diba? Pareho naman tayo nag-aaral sa Ateneo Ateneo de Davao, Ateneo de Manila, pareho tinuturo dyan. We're man for others. Ad maiorem Dei gloriam. Diba? A word to the wise is sufficient. Diba?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, sipin natin yun. Yes, Senator Pangilinan. I'm sorry, I have to... Go ahead.
May I also cite another case wherein Parmali was again favored, and this is apart from these documents already shown by the chairperson. And this we've gathered through news reports and our discussions with in the committee hearings previously, Economic Affairs Committee hearing of Senator Marcos, and the Committee on Trade hearing of Senator Pimentel, both confirming that as early as February 2020, we actually have a manufacturer of face masks in the country, Mr. Chairman. This is the Medtex Corporation. It is in the Freeport area of Bataan. And based on news reports, as early as February, Medtech had already committed to the DTI to produce 2 million masks monthly. And at that point in February, they were already producing 80,000 masks a day. And they export these masks abroad. They are engaged in the manufacturing of bandage, elastic, plaster, and face masks. So itong mga price survey, market survey, tsaka price analysis, bakit inuna nyo kaagad yung importer? Ba't di ninyo kinausap direkta itong Medtech? Yun ang merong local manufacturer, nagbibigay ng trabaho sa ating mga kababayan, kayang mag-produce ng 80,000 masks a day. February pa lang, nakipag-usap na sa DTI. Pero, at ang balita namin, ang information ng DTI sa amin, hindi nyo pinapansin. Dinidribble-dribble ng DBMPS. Kung ano-anong dahilan. Ilang meeting din. In fairness, marami daw kayong meeting. Pero, walang nangyari sa meeting. Yung pala, puro dinedirekta sa Parmali. And with that, Mr. Chairman, our request, it's a manifestation, that perhaps if we can invite the Secretary of Trade in the next hearing so that he can clarify this. Because there was a huge tug of war na hindi pinapansin ng DOH, DBMPS, yung mga local manufacturers at ang DTI. Yan, government to government na yan, Mr. Leong. So I hope you understand.
I understand your sentiment, Mr. Chairman, Honorable Senator Pangilinan. Mr. Chairman, if I may clarify po, with respect to the local manufacturers, if my memory serves me right, we entertained EMS when they came to us. And with respect to the coveralls po, I think you're talking about I couldn't recall the name. They went to us, I think around after April.
Wait, no, you are bringing me to another set of facts. That's not the facts. Don't include other facts. The facts that I said was that February, pwede nang bumili ng masks. You're bringing me to PPEs eh. Nililigaw mo ako eh. Sorry Mr. Leong, but I mentioned the case of masks and now you're answering me about PPEs.
No,
you're not responsive. That your answer,
Mr. Chairman,
is not responsive.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, what I was saying was, we actually negotiated with a local. I said first po si EMS and masks naman po si EMS. So,
no, I'm sorry. You didn't say that immediately. I'm sorry, but please.
Mr. Chairman.
Let's go back to the transcripts. The first thing you said was PPEs. You didn't mention EMS. You already immediately went to Conweb and PPEs when I was raising the issue of masks. So please.
Mr. Chairman, that's not the intention. I really did mention EMS, but if it wasn't heard properly, I apologize for that.
Thank you. And please, and I didn't mention EMS. I mentioned MedTech.
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Chairman. Kaya nga sabi namin,
EMS, we already debated and discussed, sorry, not debated, but we already interpolated and raised questions and exhausted the discussions on EMS. As early as February 2020, a manufacturer was actually manufacturing masks. EMS was not manufacturing masks at that time. They could not, but MedTech could. So you're again bringing me to EMS and you will tell me that they were not yet capacitated because they had to what do you call it?
I cannot, Mr. Chairman, one last lang po. I understand the sentiment of Senator Pangilinan.
Bakit mo ako nilalayo sa MedTech?
No, Mr. Chairman, I'm not.
Okay, you aren't. But please, the question is about MedTech.
Yes.
That point could already produce 80,000 masks a day.
I wasn't aware of that, Mr. Chairman. What I was
as procurement.
What I was aware.
Excuse me, as procurement division head, right in our own backyard. Dapat sana alam mo yun, hindi ba?
I was going to that answer, Mr. Chairman. What I was aware was around March, we couldn't find. I don't know why, even MedTechs, I will try to ask my subordinates there. I think I was told that, I really couldn't remember it correctly right now. I think I was told that they had to export or import most of their production at that time. So we were really in a tight position on where to find masks.
Well, that's why, Mr. Chairman, thank you, Mr. Leong. That's why, Mr. Chairman, it would be good to bring in the DTI to clarify this because the DTI is saying otherwise.
And besides, gentlemen, and besides, it wasn't hard to find masks. DOH found masks about the same time. Mas mababa doon sa binili nyo.
May 18 na po yun na-deliver, Mr. Chairman. Nakahanap din po tayo kay EMS ng 1350 po.
Yeah, pero mamura pa rin yun, di ba? Mura pa rin. Ang
yes,
nyo,
mura pa rin po. Mura din po.
Cannot be denied. Meron na bibili yan. In fact, Itong si Leong, si Lincoln Ong, nakabili pa siya. Sabi ka ni Senator Lacson kanina, sinabi ko sa inyo, yung dito sa Tiger Phil. Tapos namili pa sila doon sa Green Trend. So meron talaga supply eh. Bakit natin pinipilit na pagbigyan natin? Ayun ang mali ninyo. Nakita na talagang yung bakas ninyo, panay pinagbibigyan ang family to the tune of almost 12 billion. Ako iniiwan ko na lang sa 8.9 billion. That 8.9 billion could have built 4 hospitals of 200 beds each. Ito sinasabi ko. So kaya maraming nasusuklam. Maybe you're on the other side, you don't see the anger. Sometimes when you're in power, kasama mo yung mga in power, hindi ka nakikinig eh. You have to put your ears close to the ground. Hirap ang tao, lalo na ako, nasa Red Cross ako eh. Yan ang panata ko sa buhay. Natutulong kami doon sa kailangan ng dugo, kailangan makapasok sa ospital. Hindi makapasok sa ospital, hanapin ang paraan niya, kukunin namin ng ambulansya, dadali namin sa ospital na dudugo ang puso ng tao, di makakain, nagugutom. Kahapon, isang araw lang, sinakwento ko rito, kinuha namin yung nabagsakan doon sa, tuwan-tuwa siya, nabakunahan siya, nasa dulo siya ng antipolo ng Red Cross, nabakunahan siya, tapos sabi niya, sir, yan yung nangyari sa akin, ako yung nahulog doon sa tulay, doon sa, ano ba? Yung sa Skyway, yung paa niya nangingitim, hindi na siya makalakad. The only breadwinner, nakikiusap, sir, kailangan ko mapagamot para makapagtrabaho ko. Yung mga ganyan, hindi niya narinig yan. Ako narinig namin araw-araw yan. The other senators do that because we're public figures. Ang takbo ng tao kami. Yung mga nagninegosyo, ang hanap niyan ay profit. Profit lang, kita. Pinakamalaking profit. They will justify anything. You know? What does it profit the man if he loses the whole? What does it profit a man if he gains the whole world but suffers the loss of his own soul? I hope you have not lost your soul. Wake up, slap yourself in the face and say, tama ba itong ginagawa natin? Kumisan, ako dumaan rin dyan nung bata ako, napapasama ako sa mga siga sa politiko. Napaflatter ako, malalaki. Alam mo, kundi ako bumalik sa edukasyon ko sa atin ngayon, sa UP, saka dito sa magulang ko, siguro nasakmal na ako, nakain na ako. Try to avoid that, and I'm saying that for the young people who are listening out there. Madaling ma-absorb. And the bottom line is, sir, you were performing a fiduciary act. You are supposed to protect the people of this country, especially at the time of pandemic. At this time of pandemic, sinakmal ng family. Family's pandemic, ang tawag ko dyan. Inari ng family yung pandemic. Inari lahat ang piso ng family, PPP. Piso ng tao para sa family pandemic. Ubus tayong lahat. Yan ang nangyari sa atin. I don't have to go through this. I can go through this with you. Pare-pareho eh. Palaging ini-increase yung edge. So sige, let's go to the next one. And you know, you cannot say that I have not allowed you to. Iba lang talaga ang pananaw mo. Yun ang nakikita ko. Ang pananaw nyo, sa kabila sa panig ng depensa eh. Pagtanggol natin ang tao, hindi yung depensa ninyo yung kontrata. Kung nagkamali tayo, well, sorry, sir. On second thought, I think, katulad ni Lau, sinabi niya na, I was negligent, babawiin pa niya. Yes, Senator Lacson.
Yes, sir. May I just invite the attention of Attorney Leong, yung GPPB Resolution number 6, lumabas ito April 6. So, covered na nito yung procurement na above 500,000, yung April that's for April 17 and April 15. April 15 for 54 million and April 17 for 220 million. So, yung sinasabing hindi kailangan ng income tax returns, maliwanag po rito, nakalagay dyan.
No, Mr. Chairman, if I may, nire-require po natin.
Please let me finish.
Apo, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
To show you na mali yung sinasabi niyong hindi required yung income tax returns. Kasi yung saklaw na yung April 6 circular ng GPPB resolution, yung procurement na ginawa noong April 15 at saka yung April 17. So mali yung sinasabi niyo na hindi kailangan, hindi requirement yung income tax returns. Andiyan po nakalagay. Go ahead, please answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Senator Lacson, for allowing me to clarify. I never said na hindi po requirement si ITR. What I said was, we require mayor's permit, ITR po, and OSS. What I said was, hindi po ni-require yung minimum capitalization or yung NFCC for procurement of emergency goods, both in Section 53B of Negotiated Procurement under RA 9184 at saka po sa Bayanihan 1 po. Yun po yung sinasabi ko. And with respect to capitalization po, Your Honors, nandun po siya sa competitive bidding po. We could have done that naman. Pwede naman po talaga under competitive bidding. Matatagalan lang po tayo ng 26 to 126 days po. And with respect to the lowest price po, we really could have done that also po, Your Honors, if we go through advertisement. Advertisement is in competitive bidding din po, Your Honors. So we can go, and even if we undergo competitive bidding, we couldn't guarantee the lowest price because we have to find the lowest responsive bid pa rin po. So yun po yung sinasabi namin, nahahalo-halo lang po yung requirements under competitive bidding, negotiated procurement under Section 3B po, and Bayanihan 1 po. Pero we do understand the concern of the Senate. That's why we are cooperating po, Your Honors. Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, another point. Sabi nyo, wala kayo makitang face mask noong March 25. Kanina nga pinakita natin na yung one link, di ba? Starting March 17, nandiyan na nga. In fact, nakapag-deliver nga ng March 25 yung Parmali. Na hindi na nga natin maintindihan kung saan nanggaling. But pagka inikot-ikot natin yung pinanggalingan, Tiger Field, Green Trends, saan ang galing? Sa one link, March 17 pa lang, 88,000 kilograms na yung iparating nila. 51,000 ang total ng importation na sa March, umabot na ng 88,000 kilograms. Ang sabi ng records kanina, di ba? 4,679 cartons, equivalent to 46 million na face mask. So ano yung narinig natin na mahirap maghanap ng supply ng face mask? Hindi rin natin ma-reconcile.
Mr. Chairman, if I may po, I cannot contest the data given by the Honorable Senator but what I can answer po is that naghanap naman po talaga tayo. And then maybe what we can ask one link is kanino po nila binenta ito at bakit hindi nila in-offer po sa...
Yes, Attorney, we intend to out, kaya nga I move that the representative of one link, pati yung two other firms, yung AG and A, at saka yung Terex, whatever it is, yung na-mention ko kanina, dapat isumon them because we checked with SEC. Hindi sila registered doon. So we are now checking with DTI kasi baka single proprietorship. Hanggang ngayon hindi pa sumasagot yung DTI. So we'd like to find out sino yung nagmamaari nitong one link and the other two firms that were able to import 4,679 cartons of face masks, face shields, etc. So we intend to do that, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I just want to do some housekeeping before we go on. First, I'd like to ask Twinkle kung pwede ibigay sa amin yung address, right address itong si Jeff Mariano. Jeff Mariano. Wala kaming address. Yung telepono hindi sumasagot. Alright? At alam mo, Twinkle, kung nasa naroon si Grace. Si Grisel Mago. So I know that you know his other address. And he also called the other girl, yung girlfriend ni Sofia Custodio. Nandiyan ba siya? Mr. Kimbo?
Sir, doon sa subpoena na inisyo ng committee, sorry, I'm suffering from slow computer, but the report is that she could not be found. She was not in the addresses that were provided in the incorporation papers lodged with the SEC. But yes.
Alam mo yan ang nakakahilo dito, di ba mga senators? Pag tinatanong mo, hindi matandaan, hindi ko talaga maalala, hanapin ko. Pag tinatanong mo, iba-iba sinasagot, never direct to the point. Talaga, these are the badges of fraud. Ang dami niyan. Kinukompile natin lahat yan. Ang Lincoln, ang dami mo. Si Mr. Yang, ang dami rin. May secret. Keso may NDA. Ang dami natin sinasabi. Pero hindi nagsasabi ng direktamente.
Mr. Chair.
Di ba? Totoo yan. Again, I really sympathize with you, Mr. Leong, because pangalan mo nakalagay lahat dyan sa pinapakita kong document na at saka ikaw talaga ang hindi pipirma sila kung hindi mo pipirmahan. Kaya dapat ingatan mo yung sarili mo dyan. Did you want to ask a question, Senator Lacson?
No,
Yes, go.
another housekeeping. Since we do not know the real reason for the non-appearance of Ms. Mago, maybe we can issue a subpoena for her to attend the next hearing.
I think we have issued one already. Have we issued one, Secretary General Kimbo?
We have issued previously, Your Honor, and she appeared on the original subpoena.
So, do we need to issue another subpoena because she did not appear today?
Your Honor, we may need to.
Yeah, I believe so.
Thank you.
So ordered then.
Your Honor, on it.
Ina, shall we? I don't want to issue a contempt because she will have to be forced to come. She has to come because we have to make sure that she gets her side. Right now, there are a lot of documents that we have found connecting her, and I hope, for transparency's sake, I've asked the Paulinian sisters in Tuguegarao and in Manila and all to try and get in touch with her because she is a Paulinian. And it's a very good school. My wife went there and so did many others. And we're trying to get to them para mapakiusapan tong batang ito na maituwid yung kanyang landas because if there are any other questions with Mr. Leong, I will cut my cross with Mr. Leong and continue later. But I just showed you 4 out of 8. And in those 4 out of 8, it's clearly shown that formally, whether inadvertently or advertently, I think they were really being favored. And that's the essence of the Anti-Graft Act. They do damage because a due advantage is given to one bidder. And nakikita natin, they move. Kaya nga, yung goalpost, pag-jumble, pagka nakuha na yung bola ng kabila, ilalayo yung goalpost. At pagka yung yung bola, si Parmali, ilalapis yung goalpost para slam dunk. Yun ang nakikita ko doon. So, I would like to ask questions of Mohit with the permission of everybody. Can we switch to Mohit with your permission, everybody? I can see the thumbs up. Yes, Senator Lacson, Senator Dillon, and Mohit Targani. Please show yourself in the video. Mohit Targani? Mohit Targani.
Maniligo siya. Ayaw na tayo naliligo. Diatra. Umiiyak.
Okay, well, we're looking for Mohit. I'm sorry, Twinkle, I'll have to ask you the question. You're the president of the company after all. Twinkle Targani, please.
I don't see her online, Mr. Chairman.
I don't want to issue contempt order. But, we've been getting nothing but all kinds of, excuses from these people. Last call, Mohit Targani. Twinkle Targani. The chair will now entertain a contempt order for not appearing in spite of the fact that they were here. And I don't care if you're millionaires, we can put you in contempt. Milyonaryo kayo, Walang exception dito yan.
Remove. So
There's a motion. There's a motion. Any second?
Second the motion, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I'm also looking for them. I think perhaps they have no signal. I'm not sure, to be exact.
Convenient.
Mr. Mojit is on line, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
His name is part of the participants, but Twinkle is...
There's a motion to put them under contempt for not appearing now, and obviously trying to, there are so many questions that can be asked of Mojit and Twinkle, the accountants. Then another accountant is named. And I know Senator Montiveros is another accountant. Yung Ira Marie. Is that correct, Senator Montiveros?
That is the information I have, Mr. Chairman.
An accountant, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Ira Marie Moscoso.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
As soon as you get verification, we will invite her. Secretary General, take notes. Issue a contempt order for these two millionaires or billionaires, shall I say?
Yes, Your Honor. On it.
There's no exception here. Mayaman, mahirap. Akala nyo, sasantuhin namin yung yaman ninyo, yung mga Lamborghini ninyo. Are there any other questions? Are there any other concerns? Because really, we really have to go through the money trail already. That's why we have the banks here. Maybe we should just confirm from the banks so that the day will not be wasted here. We call on first the representative from Union Bank.
Dito kasi ang ingay kagabi kaya dito tuloy ang anak.
Good evening, Your Honor.
Bustillo, Junior.
Yes po, Your Honor.
Can you show your, there you go, Conrado Bustillo Jr. You are a depositary. Your depositary is Farmally. Is that correct? Farmally, the deposit is there with you, right? I think for you. We have accounts encashed by PSDBM, and these are endorsed to your bank. Would you have the liberty to do that? I don't think we're not entering into anything on thin ice.
Your Honor, hindi ko po masasagot yan or deny.
Pinakasan mo lang, please. Wala kang katabi dyan, alisin mo na muna yung mask mo. May katabi ka ba dyan? Just answer yes or no. May katabi ka ba dyan? Unless may katabi ka malapit.
Your Honor.
Wala. O sige. Para maliwanagan natin. Ayaw nyo ibigay.
Your Honor, because of
Union Bank is a very good bank.
Opo, Your Honor.
I would hate to have it identified with a situation where it's being used to funnel the people's money. Napakasimple lang ang tanong ko. Nakalagay dito, sa amin, ang napasok na pera under account number 003120001166. Ang napasok na pera sa Union Bank ay 4,017,045 pesos at 122.
Your Honor, I cannot confirm that
because you have the information already.
because of bank secrecy.
For my preliminaries. Billion pala, 4 billion, I'm sorry, 4 billion. 4 billion, 17 million, 45,122. Laking pera niyan.
Yes, Your Honor. Hindi ko po masasagot yan, Your Honor, or madi-deny because of bank secrecy law, Your Honor.
Neither confirm nor deny.
Opo, Your Honor.
You're not familiar at all with this account.
Opo, because bank secrecy law, Your Honor.
Sige, Okay, we'll be liberal with you. Just want to make it the point that you said at this time, you didn't want to answer anything. We're not asking you, ilan ang pera, ilan ang pumasok, pero alam na namin eh, di ba? Sinabi ko na sa inyo eh. Pinakukonfirm ko lang sa inyo. Masama ba yun? There comes a point even in a corporation as big as you, where you either side with the people or not at all. That's an unfair question. Do not answer it.
Yun po, Your Honor.
I withdraw that question. That's unfair. Because you're being put on a choice whether you will favor people who are enriching themselves at the expense of the public. I will ask Asia United Bank.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening. Your name is?
I'm Jem VR, branch manager of UN Avenue po.
It's not Jemar.
Yes, it's Jemar, sir. But you can call me na lang po at Jem po.
Okay, you want to be familiar? Okay, I'll call you Jem. All right?
Thank you po.
Is that what your girlfriend calls you?
Hindi po kasi hindi lang din po ako sanay with my real name. Jesus Mariosep po kasi yun, Mr. Chairman. Sorry.
I like your sense of humor. Jesus Mariosep. All right?
Opo.
Okay. Akala ko, ibang ibig sabihin eh. Tawa tuloy ako sa iyo. Jem, nabanggit yung bangko ninyo na nasa UN Avenue, correct? By the way, Mr. Union Bank, nabanggit rin yung bangko ninyo na depositary kayo, kaya useless to say that eh. Sinabi na eh, na nilagay dyan yung letter of credit na 500 million noong November. Yan ang sinabi ni Mr. Liang. No, Liang. Yung presidente. Wang, si Mr. Wang. Mr. Wang, so yan, is it not true that you deposited 500 million? You said? You got a letter of credit from Union Bank? I can show you the PSN. I can show you the stenographic notes.
Mr. Chairman, because I didn't have the original document by my hand. I think Union Bank wrote to me asking me to clarify on this. I wrote to them that it was actually a certificate of credit. It was a certification of credit, not a letter of credit. And the condition for that certificate of credit was that the company was supposed to submit to them bid documents or contract. However, this did not push through. So I'm sorry if I made that confusion in the previous hearing.
So what is the answer? You do have money in the bank, right? 500 million, so that you could get a letter of credit, correct? I'll repeat it to you. Chairperson, all right, with the permission of Senator, so ordered to the director. May we ask which bank, Mr. Wang, just one question. May we ask which bank you transacted with? You claim you opened a letter of credit allegedly with a local bank. Which local bank did you transact that with? Answer, Mr. Wang. We got a credit line certificate from the Union Bank. Chairperson, Union Bank. Mr. Wang, Union Bank of the Philippines, reiterated. And when was that done? Mr. Wang, November 27, 2020. Chairperson, November 27, and you followed with the words 2020. Are you withdrawing that now?
Mr. Chairman, I didn't have the original document with me at the time.
My question is very simple. At that time, you revealed already that Mr. Yang was transacting with you. You were forced to do that. Now, because of Lincoln Ong's condition. And then I asked you, and then you said, nobody forced you, nobody strangled you, nobody pointed a gun in your head. It was an open hearing, and we even allowed you to make sure that you get your oath before the embassy and you came back, and we appreciate that. Then I asked you that, and you freely said Union Bank of the Philippines, letter of credit. Correct?
Mr. Chairman, if I may...
Next line. Then yung 500 million.
If I may clarify, Mr. Chairman, I was mistaken. I didn't have the original document with me by my side. I mistakenly said a letter of credit. I wish to clarify that it's a certificate of credit. The certificate of credit is for our PPE projects in 2021. However, the company did not push through with the transactions with the bank on this because we are supposed to submit our contract to the Union Bank, but we did
And
not.
why did you not tell us that at that time? You are the president of a major corporation with lots of contracts with the Philippine government with a ridiculous capital of 625,000. Correct? And why did you not tell us that? You freely said, without any pressure from anybody. And you said, maybe we know how much that letter of credit. That was my question to you. Consistent. And Mr. Wang, your answer was, without batting an eyelash, 500 million pesos. And I ask you, and you got the letter of credit. Mr. Wang, the answer is yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, as I've said during the hearings, sometimes a question can be proposed to us, and then we'll be asked to answer it as fast and as truthfully as possible. And
well, if you're telling the truth, you can answer fast, wouldn't you? I wasn't asking you to answer fast. You volunteered it. I didn't ask you in a fast manner.
Mr. Chairman, I'm very sorry, but those words are based on my recollection, and I've stand by to correct that there was no letter of credit. It was a certification of credit.
Mr. Wang, do you have an international warrant of arrest from Taiwan?
Mr. Chairman, as I said that as I'm here today, I'm cooperating with any relevant agencies looking for me for explanations on certain issues.
So you don't know again?
Based on the website presented, based on the website on the line, it is believed that I have a issue of arrest for not communicating with them, and I have said I've tried to communicate with them.
All right, I'll change my question then. We know that you have deposits of 4 billion in the account. To be precise, you have 4 billion 17 million 45,122 pesos and change. We know that because we tracked down the payments made to you. And you only said a piece of it, 500 million. Correct? Where did the 500 million come from? Now we're going into deeper waters.
Mr. Chairman, as I've tried to explain, those words stated in my previous hearing or was based on my recollection, and I didn't have...
Did you bring that money here, sir? Your savings, so-called 4 billion pesos in savings?
I believe, Mr. Chairman, the 4 billion that you're referring to are the payments from the government to us for transactions completed.
4 billion is what is stated there from the checks that were paid to you.
From the government, yes.
And now you're saying the 500 million is different? When you brought that 500 million in, how did you bring it in here?
Mr. Chairman, I did not bring 500 million into the company, into the Philippines.
What was your suggestion then? That you were trying to apply against your credit in Singapore? Is that your what you're saying here?
Mr. Chairman, I believe the question asked for me.
That's what I'm asking you now. Answer the question, because you were the one who brought in a new term. What is that term again?
I was told to correct my term from the bank because what I said was not true based on what the bank notified me, and therefore
After you got that letter of credit from query from the Union Bank, right?
So the company and myself do not have a letter of credit from Union Bank.
That was what they were asking you, right?
They were asking me to correct the statement because
So it was a lie. What you said to us was a lie. That's why it prompted. You never forwarded that information that you had to change it. I had to ask you for it, correct? And if I had not asked you, it would never have come out. And what has come out here is now you're answering that the Union Bank asked you to correct that misinformation. And don't you think that was relevant to tell the committee that you lied to the committee? 500 million? Letter of Union Bank, specific terms, Mr. Wang.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I apologize for the confusion. I believe the question posed to
No
me is,
confusion. There is no confusion. It's all very clear. You got caught with
Mr.
your
Chairman.
pants down and you're now changing your answer. Is it not true?
Mr. Chairman, I believe the question
Answer my
posed to me
question
is,
first. You got caught with your pants down. You blurted 500 million. And you were embarrassed. You were called down by Union Bank in a letter. Can you produce that letter to us?
Mr. Chairman, as I've said, I believe the question posed to me during the previous hearing was,
You're
do
still
you
going back
recall
to
that
that.
you have
What
any...
you said is already written in history in the TSN. And you would not have revealed that. You would have never revealed that letter. You would have never told us, oh, sorry, I apologize. You know, I should not have said that I gave 500 million as a figure that I got a letter of credit from. Until now, you should have told us right away that, you should have told us right away, the moment you got that, Mr. Chairman, you have had several hearings here and you were here. You could have told us, sir, I would like to correct an impression. I said this, and you know, I made a mistake. Now it's too late. The door is shut. Because the door is shut with you, because it took Union Bank to tell you to tell the truth. And now you're telling us, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I made a mistake. I apologize. Please forgive me. 500 million, did that come from this? Where did it come from? Now you're saying a new term. How do I know you're still telling us the truth? All the things you were told. You were forced to reveal the name of Mr. Yang, didn't you? You were forced, because I remember you said that I can produce the stenographic notes. You were forced to say that because you were sorry for Mr. Lincoln Ang. Because he was now going to be jailed by the committee, correct? That's what you said. And then you said, finally, I'm sorry, sir, I have to reveal it now. Mr. Yang lent us the money. Did you not say that?
Mr. Chairman, if I may...
The answer is simple, yes or no.
Mr. Chairman, there was a few questions. There was a few questions.
You're just going to say deeper and deeper. It's a bug, you know. When one lies, it's just one lie after the other that you have to correct. I'm sorry to do this to you. I'm a lawyer, and this is what I'm trained for.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, we do have a certification of credit from Union Bank.
It doesn't matter, but you did not tell us that at that time.
I'm not.
It needed a letter from Union Bank to correct you. And yet, when you were corrected already, you did not even bother to write a letter to the committee to say, sir, we made a mistake, you know. I did not have that 500 million as letter of credit. Now it's out in the open. After you got caught, now you're saying, I made a mistake. Too late. Too late, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I believe I'm not finance trained, Mr. Chairman. The terms are very similar. I believe there was a letter of credit, and I was told that was not, so I stand corrected.
Now you sound like Mr. Yang. How come you lie like Mr. Yang and everybody else? How come? Mr. Yang says, oh, it's formally biological. This is formally pharmaceutical, right? Diba? Sabi ko, we know the difference between two corporations may not be the same. You brought the formally biological, but Mr. Yang, are you blind? You were there, right? You were there in that meeting. Same people were there. Wang, Se, Yuan, right? That's you, right? And your father. Wang Wenlai, right? Right, sir?
Mr. Chairman, I do not deny...
Mr. Wang was splitting hair, as you are now splitting hairs.
Mr. Chairman, there was... I did not say no lie in any of this.
Oh, now you're telling me you didn't say... Why don't
I read that I was at the meeting. There was no... I never denied I was at the meeting. But my capacity...
I never asked you that. I know that because res ipsa loquitur, according to the lawyers, a thing speaks for itself. We could show the pictures that only speak 1,000 words, but in this particular case, they spoke the truth. And Mr. Yang lied about it because he said, after that meeting, I never had any connections with Parmalee. And then when he got caught with his pants down because of your statement, he said, oh, let me correct that. Actually, these were my friends, and I helped them, all right? And then
Mr.
you
Chairman,
said,
if I may,
Lincoln said it was a guarantee, and then he was a guarantor, and then he said, no, I got the money from my friends. You're just moving from one lie to the other, just like the rest of it. Shame on you.
Mr. Chairman, if
You
I
may be a
may,
Singaporean, and I respect a lot of Singaporeans.
Mr.
But
Chairman,
this is the first encounter I have with a Singaporean that lies. I had a bad one before, when Flor Contemplacion died, and I'm not going to say that here.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I believe I stated on record that Mr. Michael Young did not know of my existence in Family Pharmaceutical Corporations. That is true. He did not know. I believe any cooperation any discussion was between Mr. Michael Young.
Isn't your father a good friend of Mr. Wang, Mr. Yang? Ano pa? Zingbing, ano pa isa? And don't you know Mr. Sheng Bing Kiao?
I believe they introduced my father to come to the Philippines to invest, yes, in 2017.
And Sheng Bing Kiao was there, correct? And Sheng Bing Kiao was in Taiwan with your father and you. Correct?
I was not part of the Taiwan company in terms of, and I do
Right,
not
you were the
know how.
son of the person who took away $50 million. How will I believe you? With the $50 million you're talking about as your life savings found itself in the Philippines?
Mr. Chairman, I believe no children should bear their parents' crimes. A crime is individual and limited to the person itself. And I've said many times, I do not hold or have ever hold a single share from that company.
All right, but it cannot be denied that you know Zeng Bingjia. In fact, he was with you at the time when you met with President Duterte. Is it not true?
It was in my capacity
So you
as
knew
an
him, right?
employer.
So you knew him, right? Yes or no?
I knew him, yes.
Hey, that's it. How can I depend on you? You have to be caught to tell the truth. I will repeat again. When Mr. Ong was caught, you came to the rescue and you said, I will now tell the truth. Mr. Michael Yang was really lending us money. And now you got caught again by the bank and said, hey, what are you doing? And you said, oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was the same thing. But you never bothered to tell us. And so now you're being confronted, and you're being slowly undressed with your lies. And when you're undressed, the liar will come out of the picture.
Mr. Chairman,
I'm not going to be nice to you.
I feel that, Mr. Chairman, but they did not catch me lying. They asked me to clarify, given the opportunity, and I said yes to them. And I even issued a statement to them on this.
Well, he never told us. And if he had told us, then maybe I would have some understanding. But the very fact that you told us after the fact once again, just like Mr. Lincoln plays with us, he thinks he can get away now. Now he's got a fancy, ambulance chaser, and he's saying, oh, I refuse to answer on the grounds that it will incriminate me. Don't you ever bother you people think that when you avoid an answer, people will think that you're hiding something?
Mr. Chairman, I believe there is a non-disclosure confidentiality clause in the agreement.
Did you say that before?
I believe Mr. Lincoln has mentioned multiple times.
No, he did not say that. He only said non-disclosure agreement today. Shall I show you a picture again? I don't have to, but I'll just refresh the memory of the public. There you go. Mr. Michael Yang, President Duterte, Alan Lim, and Zeng Bing Kiang. Can you show the picture, please? And then make ready the picture with him there. I tried to have some sympathy for you, but I've run out of sympathy. And behind Mr. Yang, isn't that the face of that, I was going to say, like in Merchant of Venice, what's this? The face of a blinking idiot. Ayan, di ba si Lincoln Yang yan? Lincoln Ong, behind Mr. Michael Yang. And then there is Wei Zhong, and then there is Zeng Bing Kiang. And then let's show the picture of him. There.
Mr. Chairman, if I don't know how association can be established just for one meeting.
You heard
One
the term,
policy
tell me
meeting.
who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are.
They are not my friend.
It's like birds of the same feather fly together. And you know what? I don't believe you until you say so. And you just said so, that you are not telling the truth.
I didn't say
I don't
so.
believe all those things. I don't put people in a category. But you just categorize yourself. You painted yourself. You lied, and then when you get out, you try to squirm out of it, like liars do. I'm sorry, I don't have any sympathy for you. Okay, let's move on. Why didn't you show the picture of him with there? I'm sorry. I'm sorry to the committee. But you know, I have no stomach right now because a lot of people are suffering. There you are, on the left side. One Su Yan. The only one, Su Yan.
Mr. Chairman, I still
There
don't
you go.
understand. I've never denied to be in that meeting.
Didn't say that. I'm just saying that you were the one who said that you knew them, and I just wanted to refresh the memory of the public because you have reinforced your lies, and now I'm reinforcing what happened, that you were associated and you weren't there, and that you were associated there to have a meeting, and then later on, the new family here started getting contracts that, you know, a poor man. I wish there were 3 million people who could get 4,000 pesos from the 12 billion pesos that was given to family in what we call ayuda. In what we call, I call it, you know, our people are conquered because of their poverty. Because the hand that gives is always higher than the hand that receives. Our poor people receive it, their hands are low, they're prostrate. They rely, no longer work, because the pandemic has taken work out of them. And then you and your bunch of merry, I don't want to call you, you're going struggling out and pretending that you're so humble, but in reality, you're laughing all the way to the bank. In the bank of Union Bank, you have over 4 billion pesos. In the Associated Bank, you have over 4 billion pesos. And I'll tell you, in the other bank, BDO, you have 442,556,000. Do you think that you can get away with it because these are government checks being given to you? Do you think you can hide behind the bank secrecy law? And do you think you can buy it? You know, that's your favorite word. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. We cannot reveal it to you. It's a secret. And now you become more sophisticated. Now you're saying, hey, sir, it is called NDA.
Mr. Chairman, my partner Lincoln has repeatedly said there's an NDA signed between him and Mr.
I have
Michael
no
Young.
questions for you. Thank you very much, sir. Last call. I'd like to know if the famous family that owns cars, again, which Lincoln Ong already admitted, katas ng family. Katas ng family. Nakabili siya ng magandang kotse. 3. Ganon rin ito. Sasabihin pa nito si Mohit. 18 million lang ho yun. Regalo sa kapatid. Di naman nagbayad ng donor tax. Anong ginagawa ng BIR? Anong ginagawa ng... Saan galing ang mga kotse yan? Di naman galing sa dealer yan. I go by and I reiterate. Upon motion by the Blue Ribbon Committee, upon motion of Senator Pagdinig, seconded by
Hello, Mr. Chairman.
Senator
I'm not sure if I can be
Senator
heard.
there is now
Hello, Mr.
a
Chairman.
contempt order
Hello, Mr. Chairman.
with the appearance.
Hello, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, now you appear.
Mr. Chairman.
Eh, pag tinakot kayo na meron ng warrant
Hello,
para
Mr.
sa inyo.
Chairman.
Hello, Mr. Chairman. I'm here, sir.
Please forgive me. My signal is really bad.
No, I cannot forgive you. You're an Indian. That is where that very famous Bangalore. #1 ng India sa computer. And you're no exception to that. You look like a smart young man. Too smart for your style.
Oh, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, now you're gonna tell me you have a brownout because you're in the dark. And of course, it just so happened that your sister doesn't have a Wi-Fi right now. Is that it? Well,
Mr. Chairman,
it's
based
time to
on
adjourn and
what
let the Sergeant at Arms take care of
Oh,
all
Mr.
this.
Chairman.
I thank the
if I
bank
may,
for coming in here.
I think Twinkle is going to the hospital with her mom because the mom had elevated blood pressure. I think that was communicated from our attorney to the Director General.
Ano? Well, my wife has high blood pressure because of this. Welcome to the club. And I really, really get upset when I see my wife suffer because I have to do this for my country. And my wife is nervous. So I commiserate with Twinkle's mother. She has nothing to do with this, and I hope she will be all right. Don't use that as an excuse. May I beg the pardon of my colleagues here, my kind colleagues. We will continue, even if there's a break, even if other people are filing their certificates of candidacy. I'd like to call a meeting on Tuesday, October 5 at 11 a.m. Would that be okay with everyone, unless you want to change the date? I can see Senator Leon says a thumbs up, gives a thumbs up.
Is that a meeting, sir? Not a hearing? A meeting?
Hearing, I'm sorry, a hearing. I stand corrected, a hearing.
Okay, sure. I thought you said meeting. So hearing October 5.
At 11 a.m.
Okay, yes.
It will be a long one. What about the others? Is everybody okay with that? Thank you, Senator Lacson. Senator Pangilinan?
Sure.
Okay. Thumbs up. And Senator, and all the other senators, I don't see Senator Risa Ontiveros. I thank you very much. And pardon me for my passion. You all know me for so many years of association with each other. My passion sometimes gets the better of me, and that is not a good thing to do.
Okay.
This particular case, I think you will forgive me because too many people are suffering, and I do not like to be lied on, especially after they've, feasted on the people's carcass. Thank you very much. The session is recessed till 5 October 2021, Tuesday, 11 a.m., under the same invitations and subpoenas. Thank you very much. Session is suspended. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, gentlemen and ladies.
Thank you, sir.
But that didn't matter. It took you to it. To go up the same again.
This hearing on the 2022 budget of the DOTR, the Department of Transportation, is now called to order. I would like to acknowledge the presence of my fellow senators Marcos, Binay, Zubiri, and Senator Hontiveros. Before we call on the agency to present, may we ask the committee secretary to identify the agency representatives for the committee's consideration.
Good